using magic in the real world to summon an absolute maniac who bows down to a loser, slicing through beasts in seconds, and breaking all the records. But before becoming this legend, he was just a debt-ridden piece of trash, humiliated by loan sharks on the street, and absolutely terrified of dying, until the system changed all that, awakening as a summoner, breaking the golden rule. He used magic in real life, and in a completely absurd gacha pull, he pulled a legendary assassin, who now becomes his babysitter, cleaning the house and slaughtering everyone, getting rank S++ without even breaking a sweat, making the government freak out, chasing after the mysterious genius, who in reality is just a coward, but with colossal servants that blow up entire floors, dominating the top of the tower. But how did this coward do it? Walking through the alley, our MC sees two guys spitting and complaining about the splash. The two soon walk off laughing, while our guy keeps going, thinking this place is a total dump. Finally getting home, he steps into his tiny little rooftop room, eating ramen yet again. This is 25-year-old Juhyuk, juggling 3 side hustles, and all this grinding is just to pay off a massive debt and keep living in total poverty. Swallowing his food, the kid reflects on his lack of talent and how bleak his future looks. But out of nowhere, a blue screen pops into his face saying the kid just awakened. Spooked by the message, he almost chokes to death on his noodles. Falling backward in shock, the guy screams, demanding to know what kind of crazy trip this is. Lying on the floor, he can hardly believe he actually became an awakened hunter. After all, getting powers is like winning the lottery and having a real shot at a new life. But luck only counts if you stay alive, since entering the tower is basically a death wish. Because inside, anyone can end up getting sliced and diced by some freaky monsters, or even freeze to death or turn into human barbecue in super extreme climates. Not to mention the huge risk of just randomly dying from poisoning. And that is without even mentioning the deadly traps scattered all over the place. Always running from trouble, our MC even fakes phone calls to avoid eye contact. Keeping his distance from danger, he has just been an average Joe for 25 years. Dropping his chopsticks on the table, he wonders if he really awakened or is just dead tired. Taking a deep breath to test the theory, the kid yells out, asking for the status window. Right away, the system pops up, showing his stats and his summoner class. Touching the floating screen, the main guy tries to confirm if this is actually real. Almost everyone who awakens becomes a swordsman, archer, healer, or something like that. But summoning lets you control all kinds of spirits and phantom beasts, even letting you summon golems and magical monsters depending on your specialty. Getting curious about his fighting style, he decides to test out a badass skill. Stretching his hand out all hyped up, the kid gets ready to make the magic happen. He tries using random summon but gets absolutely nothing and dies of embarrassment. Forming a giant question mark, his dumbfounded face pretty much says it all. Scratching his head awkwardly, the guy remembers that powers do not work in the real world. It is a clear rule, skills only work inside the tower, and outside he's just a normal civilian. Feeling like a total jackass, the MC remembers that this is basic internet knowledge. Accepting reality, he gets it through his head that nothing will work outside the tower. But suddenly, the blue screen pops up again, starting the actual summoning process, leaving the kid completely confused and having no clue what is going on anymore. That a bright flash fills the tiny room, and a giant magic circle appears at the door. Stepping right out of the light, a weird dude wearing RPG gear shows up. Being in total shock, he does not understand how that stuff actually worked here. Freezing up after summoning a human, our MC sees the guy's salute right in front of him. Since nothing made sense, the magic worked outside the tower and even brought a normal guy. Soon, a weird smell of food hits the main guy right in the nose. Smelling the ramen, the summoned guy asks for a bite and the stunned master lets him, attacking the bowl like crazy. The MC realizes he summoned a massive food thief. Swallowing everything super fast, the dude clears the bowl, making a ton of noise. Complaining about the spice, the summon suffers from a flavor the MC thinks is mild. Totally glitching out, the guy notes that using a skill outside the tower is super rare. Opening the panel, he sees he can summon anything from rare to legendary ranks. Looking at the colorful badges, the kid realizes he just became a real-life gacha player. Then a warning pops up saying the summoned being must follow 3 basic rules, being total protection and obedience, where the master's life matters more than any order. Watching the guy chug the broth, the MC likes the obedience idea and checks who he is. Opening the catalog, he finds out he summoned John Corsock, a super rare assassin, writing that he was an insane executioner with a near 100% success rate. But out of nowhere, the guy gets a weird headache, his brain frying from all the info, getting blurry vision and feeling super dizzy. He has no idea what is happening anymore. And suddenly, our main guy gets sucked into a bizarre whirlpool of purple light. Falling into a dark and creepy void, the kid spots Corsac way down below. Flying toward his master at crazy speed, the assassin leaves him in total shock. Freezing completely in midair, the kid freaks out, unable to even move a muscle. With the assassin passing right through him, the scene shifts to a chaotic battlefield. Watching the guy wreck everyone, he notices he is seeing his summon's memories. But everything our main guy witnesses is nothing short of pure madness and absolute carnage. Seeing the servant tie a red ribbon on a severed head, the madman title makes total sense. Smiling in a super creepy way, the assassin just stands there admiring his twisted work. Soon the story skips ahead, showing that the killer went down because of one single mistake, targeting a very important guy living right in the middle of a giant mansion. Then the memory shows Corsac attacking with a super fast and glowing hand strike, but that opponent was simply the strongest swordmaster in the entire empire, with that being his very last memory before being brutally defeated by the swordsman. Snapping back from the vision, the MC almost has a heart attack with the servant's face right in his. Jumping back in fear, he hears the assassin apologize and offer him some help. Shaking with fear, the kid immediately remembers the system's absolute obedience rule. Keeping that in mind, Yu-hyuk finally manages to breathe a little easier, ordering the servant to clean up the ramen mess as a test. The guy obeys super eagerly, being dumbfounded by the fast cleanup without a single peep of complaint from the servant. Smiling in awe, seeing that the feared assassin just became his brand new errand boy, deciding to push his luck with a dumb command just to confirm the blind obedience. Speaking somewhat awkwardly, he tells the big guy to do a cute little puppy whimper, demanding he imitate a dog. The servant just closes his eyes, ready to follow the order. Seeing the assassin drop to the floor, the MC wonders if he took the joke way too far. Freezing in fear of being killed, he is shocked to see Corsac act like a cute little dog. Giving a thumbs up, the kid realizes that absolute obedience is very much real, but suddenly someone starts pounding on the door and the two go on high alert. Hearing yelling outside, the MC panics, realizing he forgot to pay the interest. Totally desperate, he tells his servant to get up while the door is almost coming off its hinges, remembering he borrowed 10 million won from a loan shark when the bank refused to help. Using the cash to help his family, he already paid 5 million won in interest and nothing changed. Knowing full well it was a stupid move, he would do it all again to save his family. Then the intruder yells, asking if he is alive, and the kid quickly calls the assassin, suggesting they rip the debt collector's head off with a creepy smile. The MC freezes in fear, locking the servant in the bathroom in dead silence. The assassin even asks for permission to breathe. Busting the door wide open, a giant brute walks right in and grabs the kid, demanding the cash with a super fake smile. The intruder hears the guy say he just forgot, maliciously suggesting that if money is tight, the main guy could easily sell a kidney. Then a goon suggests selling his little brother's organs, which would be worth even more. Hearing this disgusting threat against his family, the MC sees red and gets furious. Noticing the fury in his eyes, the loan shark mocks him, asking if the kid wants a beating. Hiding his anger with a super awkward little laugh, he says he would never do such a thing. Threatening the guy with death and slamming the door hard, the intruder lets him breathe. Walking out of the bathroom totally calm, Corsac takes the praise, saying he just followed orders. Feeling exhausted, the kid recaps his crazy day and realizes the only way out is facing the tower. Sitting down feeling down, the guy realizes he needs cash, but he is terrified of the tower. Soon, Corsac asks what to do, and the kid thinks about sending him back with the skill. Getting super hyped, the assassin asks to watch TV, saying it has been ages since he last saw one. Clueless about how he knows TV and ramen, the MC allows it, and the servant goes to watch a K-drama. Later, while the kid tries to sleep, the killer stays on the floor, glued to the K-drama. Lying in bed, the main guy reflects that having some company is not all that bad. Feeling a weird sense of comfort in his chest, the guy finally starts drifting off to sleep. Meanwhile, the assassin thinks about life, remembering that until now he always did everything alone. Out of nowhere, the TV news shows a bizarre crime about 3 headless bodies being found. With the super creepy detail being red ribbons on the heads, the MC jumps right out of bed. Quickly remembering Corsac's past, the kid immediately realizes the pattern is exactly the same. Terrified by the news, he screams the guy's name, who turns around smiling and salutes. Completely freaking out and pulling his hair, the guy realizes he summoned a total psychopath. Come the next morning, the news shows the blood-soaked office looking like pure chaos. Focusing the camera on a loan shark's hand on the floor, you can still see the gold rings. Making things way worse, the scene shows the 3 heads decorated with the red ribbons. Seeing the news on his phone, the main guy goes into shock, knowing he is totally screwed now. Working at the convenience store, he is a nervous wreck knowing it was Corsac, until someone calls him. Turning around suddenly, he has a terrible hallucination of the assassin holding a severed head. With his eyes wide open in sheer panic, the kid's heart almost beats right out of his chest, making the creepy vision worse. The store turns into a head stash and the monster complains about it all. Falling into total despair, the kid lets out a scream and knocks everything over on the counter. Rushing over to help, his coworker sees him panting and barely able to speak a single word. Dying of embarrassment over the whole thing, he apologizes and helps the lady super fast. Leaving work totally exhausted, he decides he cannot go on like this and takes some time off. Walking down the cold street, the guy cannot stop thinking about the dudes who just died. Seeing people happy in the snow, the MC feels guilty, thinking he caused all of this mess. As the dark night sets in, the scene shows his tiny rooftop room in total dead silence. Back home, he checks the catalog and confirms that Corsac is seriously an insane assassin. Sitting on the floor, he tries to calm down, reminding himself he is safe, but the fear lingers. Deciding to take charge of it all, he uses the designated summon to call the assassin back, but instead of the killer showing up, a new system screen pops up that leaves him totally glitching. Reading the warning, he finds out he has to rate Corsac's service before summoning him again. Asking for a star rating, the MC finally understands the whole magical catalog review system. Getting super pissed about that brutal crime, he immediately thinks about giving just 1 star, but right when he is about to confirm the bad rating, the guy has a sudden crisis of conscience. Softening his heart right away, he feels it is messed up and ends up giving the killer 3 stars. With the notification popping up, the system confirms the 3-star rating for servant John Corsac. Remembering that his mom works in sales, he knows a low rating totally screws the worker over. Right then, the killer pops up again, all smiles and drawing a crisp salute to his master. Thanking him for the stars, he leaves the kid wondering if this cute guy actually killed someone. Gathering a lot of courage, the kid asks straight up if the servant was the one who killed those guys. Smiling brightly, the assassin confesses to cleaning the area, and the MC freezes at the confirmation. With reality sinking in that he is facing a real killer, his stomach does flips from pure nerves. Trying his best to keep it together, he remembers that the dangerous guy is actually on his side. Nervously asking how he found the place, the servant explains he marked the intruders beforehand. Shocked by the skill, the guy asks why the killer went out and acted completely on his own, saying it is right to nip evil in the bud. The assassin is told he never received any orders. Then Corsac reveals that he faithfully followed the 3rd article of the summoning rules. Reading that protection comes before obedience, the assassin can ignore orders if there is danger. Testing if he would be killed by giving that order, Corsac confirms he would disobey on the spot, arguing that there was no real danger. The servant points out the protection rules pretty flexible, warning that the guys were a future risk. The kid freaks out, thinking that is total psycho behavior. Apologizing awkwardly, the killer does not even care, since he is used to his crazy reputation. Even trying to overlook all the madness, he realizes the servant is a literal ticking time bomb, immediately picturing the chaotic scene of accidentally bumping into some bully out on the street. Knowing the bully would curse and threaten him, something any normal person would just ignore. But in Corsac's crazy head, that would be more than enough reason to gift wrap the lunatic's head. Terrified by the idea, the MC grinds his teeth, picturing the guy happily picking out a ribbon. Out of nowhere, the assassin kneels, begging for forgiveness, making the awkward kid tell him to get up. Warning that killing brings trouble, the servant won't promise to stop but says he will hide the tracks. Insisting that random killing is insane, the servant promises to try and judge situations better. Seeing that he is as obedient as possible, the guy relaxes and dismisses the summon for now. But right before vanishing, Corsac asks if the master is not planning to climb the tower soon. Freezing completely in place, the kid just stands there staring right into the dark void. Clenching his fist tight, he knows the tower is the golden ticket to finally change his life. Immediately picturing a giant monster right in front of him, the kid is terrified of becoming lunch. Quickly changing the subject, he asks about former masters, and the guy confirms everything. Fondly remembering the past, the assassin says they were all extremely fearless warriors. Feeling like absolute garbage, he notes that he lacks the guts to even leave his own room. When Corsac starts praising him, he is cut off by the guy calling himself a massive coward. Finishing the sentence by yelling, the servant says he is the best, leaving him totally lost. Holding him firmly by the shoulders, Corsac points out that safety always comes first. Smiling wide, the killer says bravery is poison, and a brave summon always dies way too early. Exuding a lot of confidence, he tells the kid to chill because he will handle all the dirty work. Vanishing right after that, the assassin wishes the kid a long life, leaving him deep in thought. Having major insomnia that night, the MC rolls around in bed, wondering what to do with his life. Questioning if he should risk it all, he wonders if it is better to live life without that huge debt. Deciding to stick to his safe side hustles, he believes things will eventually work themselves out. But as he stretches, the sharp back pain reminds him of his hard life, and soon his phone rings. Answering the call, his dad mentions a better hospital and reveals that his mom just got fired. Freezing at the awful news, the guy hides his nervous voice so he won't worry his parents. Saying goodbye and promising a nice visit to eat together soon, he tells his old man to take care. Hanging up the call, harsh reality comes knocking at his door, demanding a whole lot of cash again. When the next day arrives, he puts on a vest and a helmet, heading for the tower with a bat, planning to peek at the first floor and run if things get dicey. He tries summoning better help. Thinking fast on the street, he decides not to call that total fluffy psychopath again. Holding on to strong hope, he tries to get a brand new servant who is way less crazy. Smiling confidently, he already pictures himself pulling a legendary unit from the summon gacha, getting hit with a harsh reality check. The system screen warns him that the skill is locked. Almost falling backward from the warning, he reads that the cooldown time is 1 whole month. Being completely out of options there, he calls Corsac, who shows up thanking him for the high rating. Finding the fake stars weird, the kid hears praise about planning to run just by looking at the tower. Snatching the bat from the guy's hand in a hurry, the assassin says he will hunt everything for him. Guaranteeing his master's absolute safety, he tells the kid not to lift a single finger in there. With a new floating system warning popping up, it asks if he wishes to enter the Black Tower, warning him in another purple message. The system says that only the first floor is unlocked. Quickly asking if he can go all out, the main guy confirms it, and the servant clicks on the screen, rapidly confirming their grand entrance. An intense blue glow completely surrounds the two of them. Getting sucked inside with full force, the MC screams for Corsac as he gets dragged away. Falling into a tunnel made of light and data, the two of them plummet at crazy high speeds. Screaming in total panic, the MC has his face completely deformed by the wind from the drop. Meanwhile, Corsac is just chilling, surfing on a board of light straight down the digital tunnel. Landing in a desolate wasteland, the young guy is finally inside the infamous Black Tower. Taking a quick look around, he notices that the entire first floor is a total desert. Suddenly, a really strong wave of nausea hits him because of that bizarre dimensional trip. Puking his guts out right there, he hears Corsac telling him that he will get used to it soon. Already fully recovered, the assassin points ahead, telling him they should leave the safe zone. Crossing the barrier, warnings pop up showing increased stats and newly unlocked skills. Feeling his body change instantly, the guy now feels way stronger and finally gets the hype. Looking at the mission, he has to kill 5 fat grubs in just 2 hours or he is totally dead. Pointing out the targets from afar, Corsac shows the giant grubs crawling through the sand. Remembering his research, he knows these grubs are basically the tower's training dummies, almost never attacking. They have skins so thick that it is an absolute nightmare to kill them. Recalling the stories, the MC knows it takes folks about 30 minutes just to kill one of them. But now, clenching his fist tight, he wants to prove that he is a real player too. Deciding to kill one all by himself, he charges in while the servant watches, totally clueless. Already on the way, the kid realizes he has no weapon and thinks about asking the killer for one. But the second he turns around, one of those giant grubs pops up right in his face out of nowhere. Rearing its whole body up, the nasty bug glows green and glares at the guy, ready to strike. Freezing up instantly, the kid gets completely paralyzed by pure, unadulterated fear. With a super shaky and desperate voice, he lets out a cry for help to his trusty assassin. Smiling at his master, Corsac gives a thumbs up and praises the wise choice to ask for help. Charging headfirst at the grubs, the servant announces that the real show is about to start. With a single slap to its head, he explodes the first grub into 1,000 gooey green pieces. Telling the MC to step back, the other 4 grubs are suddenly lifted straight into the air. With his hands glowing bright blue, the assassin quickly gets ready for the finishing blow. Unleashing a wild barrage of energy blades, he slices every single grub to pieces all at once. Ending the massacre right there, he turns around with a look of a job well done as the monsters drop. Revealing the move is called Blade Explosion. The grubs turn into literal glowing glitter. With his jaw totally on the floor, the young guy cannot believe what he just witnessed. Watching those tough monsters vanish in mere seconds, they just turn into simple blue pixels. Exploding on the screen, notifications show the cleared mission, a level up, and an S++ rank. Celebrating all cute and hyped, the kid feels like the rich life is just right around the corner. Except miles away, he has no idea a bunch of people are seeing a blue screen pop up out of nowhere. Stopping her their workout at the gym, a girl gets pretty spooked by the exact same weird warning. And in some random dive bar in the city, a tattooed guy is also staring at the glowing notification. At that very exact moment, the same warning flashed for every single player in South Korea, giving everyone the real deal. The screen asked if they were heading to the second floor or going home. Clearing the floor instantly, the MC gets teleported straight back to his tiny room again. Checking his phone right after, he is totally shocked that only 5 short minutes have passed. Appearing out of nowhere, Corsac praises his master's incredibly hard work on that day of hunting. Saying he did absolutely nothing, the servant insists he was great while everyone else struggles. Looking at the rewards on the table, he spots the blue stone and that weird silver badge. Picking up the crystal in awe, it is his very first time touching a real deal magic stone, being worth big money in the industry. That tiny little piece already backs 50,000 won. Thinking it over, he realizes everyone knows this stuff because of all the TV and internet chatter. But getting confused by the other item, he has never ever heard of that shiny platinum badge. Deciding not to even sweat it, after all, he just raked in 50,000 won in under 3 minutes. Celebrating the quick win, the MC calls Corsac over to split the dinner he just ordered. Making a face of absolute terror, the assassin looks like he just caught the worst smell on earth. Thinking it is too spicy, he is told the flavor is normal, and his master thinks he is a total wimp. Smiling completely relieved, the servant says thanks for the care and gets ready to attack the dish. Eating together right there, the kid asks why Corsac speaks in such a super formal way. Explaining it real quick, the assassin says it is just a speaking habit from his old master. Joking about the situation, our boy calls it some serious ex-summoner influence, offering to change his tone of voice. Corsac hears from his master that he really does not have to. Starting to laugh a lot, the guy says his style is pretty funny and now he knows one thing for sure. Wrapping up his thought, he figures the tower is not dangerous at all, but just a nice walk in the park. Wearing a helmet with the tower in the background, the kid says he could do that with his eyes closed. Come the next morning, our MC wakes up totally pumped and ready to tackle his brand new routine. Tacking a poster onto the wall, he proudly names the sheet, "The Routine of a Real Man." Having a crystal clear plan, he ditched his side hustles and is now focused on clearing the whole tower. Showing up all radiant, Corsac celebrates more points and the master gets happy seeing the sight. Getting super curious about that, the kid asks if the rating is really that huge of a deal. Explaining how it all works, the assassin says a high rating grants him quite a few sweet privileges. Right then, the system warning flashes on the screen and the two are heading into the second floor. Arriving on the new floor, the MC pops in looking all clumsy while the servant is totally battle ready. Seeing the mission right in front of him, he now has to defeat 10 speedy grubs in under 2 hours. Being amazed by their speed, the kid notices the nasty bugs just will not stay still for a single second. Looking at his servant with absolutely no idea what to do, he hears that he won't even need to think. Holding up 3 fingers, the killer guarantees that the whole thing will be over in just 3 minutes. Charging forward with his glowing blue blades, he promises to wrap everything up super fast. Getting super hyped, the MC already yells out that they will celebrate with some chicken and beer later. Loving his master's great idea, Corsac unleashes his power and shoots blue lightning from his body. In a super quick blink of an eye, he launches an attack that instantly pulverizes the freaky grubs. Leaving the kid speechless with how broken he is, he levels up and scores 200 grams of stone. With the bonus hitting again, he bags an S++ rank and another shiny platinum badge for his pocket. Looking at the sweet rewards in his hand, he wonders if clearing the tower is just way too easy. Hitting the 3rd floor, Corsac lands, striking a cool pose while the guy almost falls flat on his face. In a super quick flash, the 3rd floor becomes ancient history with more levels and an S++ rank. Cruising through the 4th floor at the very same pace, Corsac just keeps wiping the floor with everything. Reaching the 5th floor, the exact same thing happens again and the kid gives his servant a solid high five. Suddenly, a special warning flashes saying that he successfully collected 5 shiny platinum badges. Being in total shock at the news, the kid tries to guess exactly what kind of sweet bonus this could be. Revealing the big mystery, the system says he can now summon 2 different servants at the exact same time. With his status screen fully updated, he is now sitting at level 6 with 2 awesome summon slots ready. Loving the big news instantly, the guy thinks how Corsac alone is already a literal one-man army. Admiring the shiny badges, he notices that the S++ rank gives some seriously overpowered rewards. Picturing a bright future with 1 more servant, his safety will be totally guaranteed and unstoppable. There's just one tiny little problem though. The summon gacha still needs a full 20 days to cool down. Saying the team will be fully complete soon, Corsac announces that tomorrow's target is the 6th floor. Meanwhile in downtown Seoul, the vibe over at the Awakened Agency is getting pretty heavy right about now. Inside a super fancy office, an entire squad is sitting there in absolute dead silence. Full of intense expectation, Agent Guang-il is just waiting for the next global announcement to drop. Sneaking up real quietly right there, his co-worker Manhwa asks if he is all hyped up once again. Almost jumping right out of his chair in shock, Guang-il complains while the girl confesses she's curious. Asking for updates, she confirms the 6th floor was cleared with an S++ rank, and he is stunned. Realizing that the announcements just will not stop, Guang-il notes it is the exact same person clearing it all. Picturing some insane genius behind this, he freaks out over that absurd rank dominating it all. Frustrated with the whole thing, he slams his fist on the desk, making everyone jump in terror. Seeing the tension in the room, Director Park says Korea's record was only an A rank and nothing else. Explaining that other countries poach talent or even kidnap the best players, he gives a warning. Running against the clock, they need to find the guy right now and monitor every new record. 2 days later at the MC's house, his winning streak is still going full steam ahead. Asking if today's target is the 8th floor, the servant in pink gloves excitedly confirms. Watching the assassin clean the house, the kid figures everything up to the 10th floor is just a warm-up. Right after that, they enter the 8th floor, landing in a dense, fog-filled forest. Getting the mission to hunt 10 frog warriors, the monsters instantly surround the duo. Attacking first with everything it has, a giant humanoid frog shoots a massive purple tongue at them. Wasting absolutely no time, Corsac immediately summons a blue energy blade right into his hand. Using fast and precise slashes, he slices all the frogs at once, turning them into frog meat. Raining notifications on the screen, he levels up, gets stones, potions, and the S++ rank again. Back in the room, the assassin congratulates his master, who literally just watched the slaughter. Thanking him for the easy fight, the MC hears that things get super real starting on the 10th floor. Opening his wallet right then and there, he offers Corsac some cash to go out and have fun. Refusing instantly, the servant says he won't leave the MC's side, shocking the kid with the rule, suggesting some fried chicken as a treat. Corsac goes crazy for the idea, wearing a chicken hat. Placing a nice big order with 0 spice, the MC decides to check out all his piled up loot. Looking at the tower's healing potion, he immediately sets it aside to gift it to his servant. Seeing the pile of magic stones, he realizes he can already turn all that into cold hard cash. Reaching the 10th day, ready to fight, he thinks about quitting his day job for good. Remembering that the 9th floor was a total breeze, he notes the S++ rank is basically standard now. Toasting to the servant's success with a smile, he even forgets the guy is a literal killer. Then the system says Corsac's satisfaction just earned him 1 more hour in the real world. Celebrating the great news, he sees that being a good boss and giving 5 stars really helps. Totally thrilled with the news, Corsac makes a heart sign, promising to protect his master every single minute. With the warning popping up on the screen, they are entering the Black Tower's 10th floor right now. Getting a physical upgrade, the MC's body can finally handle the strain of a much higher level. Having his combat skills and special traits fully unlocked once again inside the tower. Arriving on the new floor, the kid feels true strength coursing through all of his veins. Overflowing with energy in his core, his muscles tense up from so much stored up power. Picturing a wild horse in his mind, he feels like an absolute untamed stallion right now. Tapping his servant on the shoulder, he announces that today he is finally going to help out in battle. Panicking completely at the idea, the assassin says he will kill himself if his master gets hurt. Throwing on a horse mask, the MC gets ready for the fight, determined not to just stand and watch. But peeking from behind a tree, he comes face to face with a giant green eye staring right at him. Spotting a colossal praying mantis, the floor boss, he almost falls backward from its sheer size. His panic returning instantly, he wonders how any normal person could ever fight a monster like that. Thinking that 2-on-1 against a bug is cowardly, Corsac does not even care about that at all. Glaring at them with pure disgust, the mantis looks like it is having human for dinner tonight. Going back to cute mode, the kid grabs cheerleader pom-poms and yells for Corsac to wreck it. Raising its glowing purple sides, the monster attacks the assassin with every ounce of its strength. Dodging it like it is absolutely nothing, Corsac leaps into a counterattack, spinning in midair. With his eyes burning with absolute rage, the assassin gets ready to deliver the final, lethal blow. Unleashing a sequence of slashes in a flash, he slices the giant bud to pieces in mere seconds. Watching the non-stop notifications, he cleared the 10th floor, leveled up, and got more platinum. Landing triumphantly on the ground, Corsac celebrates the cleared mission, and his blades vanish. Asking if he wants to keep going or go home, the system pops both options right there on the screen. Checking his inventory before leaving, he already has 5 kilos of magic stones stashed away. Remembering he earned a sweet privilege with the first 5 platinum badges he collected before, seeing that 10 badges grant a brand new perk, the MC decides to focus on that right this second. With a super eager smile on his face, he keeps imagining the system's next broken superpower, revealing the rare privilege he can copy one skill and sees Korsak's giant list of moves. Being super straight to the point, the assassin tells the MC to pick Shadow Step right away. Asking why he chose that one, Korsak explains it is the absolute best skill for running away. Feeling a little offended by the suggestion, he asks if he really looks like a guy who runs away. Confirming the skill copy, the notification pops up saying Shadow Step has been acquired. Getting all hyped up about the skill, Korsak says the real secret to fighting is all in the footwork. Curious about his new power, he tries to activate Shadow Step right there in his room just to test it. Complaining it is unfair that only the summon works, he sees his own skill did not activate at all. Reaching his 11th day in the tower, the kid decides to make the phone call that changes everything. Calling the awakened agency, he awkwardly introduces himself as Bongju Hyuk over the phone. Celebrating the call on the other end, the operator schedules an official government home visit. Collapsing from exhaustion after hanging up, he only did all that just so he could sell his magic stones. A little while later, a woman wearing a suit is walking through a super crowded parking lot. Asking about the S++ record holder, Goynel hears from Chief Lee that yesterday's guy was a fake. Mentioning a new call came in today, Minna asks if the boss is tagging along and he confirms it. Stating it with pure determination, he says if it is the S++ guy, they will offer him the world. Meanwhile, the MC is on heavy cleaning mode, making sure his room is completely spotless for the visit. Ringing the doorbell right on time, the management agency makes the kid freeze up from pure nerves. Opening the door to his tiny room, he invites the two inside while apologizing for the tight space. Introducing his colleague Imya, who is also a player, she immediately starts staring down the kid. Getting uncomfortably close to his face, the woman leaves the MC blushing red and stuttering from embarrassment. Whispering with a super sharp glare, she drops S++, and the young guy almost falls backward. Gripping his shoulders tight, Imya keeps pressing the issue while Gwang-il just stands there watching. Jumping in shock, the kid lets out a loud "what?" trying to desperately hide his absolute panic. Feeling his heart race, he wonders how they know, and if there is some hidden sensor around here. Falling into total despair over the situation, he decides his master plan is to play dumb and deny everything. Striking a stiff robotic pose, the kid says it isn't him while forcing a super fake laugh. Keeping that "don't mess with me" glare, she figures out he is literally the worst liar in the world. Smacking his colleague on the head, Gwang-il tells her to stop terrifying the poor guy in his own home. Apologizing for her absolute lack of manners, the team leader finally lets the MC breathe a sigh of relief. Popping up out of nowhere on the TV, a cute mascot named Tabby invites everyone for story time. Starting the documentary, a bizarre and sinister structure appears, making normal buildings look like toys. Sprouting into the world 20 years ago, nobody could even lay a finger on those weird towers. Blocking anyone who tried to get close, an invisible wall would literally turn a person to dust. Ending the mystery with the awakened players, they cleared the tower just like it is some video game. Becoming absolute gods inside, the loot they bring back pretty much runs the entire planet's economy. But the mascot warns that if no one climbs it for 6 months, the tower goes into full collapse mode. Hitting 0 on the timer, the tower explodes and takes the whole city with it, just like what happened to Mumbai. Having a pretty chill situation over in Korea, there is only one tower out in the mountains of Gangwon-do. Estimating there are about 10,000 players, that is practically nobody compared to the general population. Treating these guys like total heroes, they are basically the brand new explorers of the modern world. Ending the emotional video, the newbies are called upon to become the shiny new hope for all of humanity. Wrapping up the corporate talk, Gwang-il announces that it is time for the routine background checks. Confirming he really did awaken, the kid shows off his magic stones and says he cleared 10 whole floors. Freezing instantly at the news, the two agents immediately connect the dots to that crazy S++ record. Locking her eyes right back on the MC, Imya feels like she finally found the needle in the haystack. Dropping the fatal question, she demands to know everything about that global S++ rank announcement. Trying his best to keep his cool, the MC calls the guy a genius and laughs super awkwardly from pure nerves, but his face totally gives him away with nervous tics and a very suspicious forced little smile. Changing the subject, Gwang-il explains the difference between the elite team and the agency's general squad, explaining that the general squad are basically freelancers while the elite team works directly for the government, getting the best of the best in return. return, like fat stacks of cash, weapons, and top-tier security outside the tower. Hearing the word salary, the MC completely spirals, terrified of becoming the absolute center of attention. Imagining reporters hunting him down all day, he lets out a desperate internal cry for help. Having the idea of being famous terrified the kid way more than any monster ever could. While explaining the mandatory body cam, the agent gets completely cut off by the kid right then and there. Announcing he will just stick to the general team, he leaves Guangyo completely baffled and confused. Insisting that the general squad sounds just perfectly fine, he confesses he is scared to death of all that stuff, saying with a smile that he just wants to farm on a safe floor and collect his pocket change in absolute peace. Trying to push the idea, Guang-il sees that the MC stands his ground and leaves them both hanging. Quickly looking away, Imia convinces herself that he is just another completely false lead. Thinking he is just a massive coward who wants an easy life, she finds his whole attitude utterly pathetic. For the hardcore agent, our main guy totally lacks a true hunter's most important trait, pure determination, being way more diplomatic. Guang-il respects the young guy's choice, who thanks him super awkwardly, asking him to enter the tower right now. The leader wants to make his registration official and the kid agrees. Suggesting a quick little raid, the MC easily figures out that this is still some kind of secret capacity test. Accepting the proposed challenge, he says he will be back in 2 hours, and the agent promises to wait right there. Dropping a "don't push yourself too hard" with total superiority, she says they will just chill right there. Getting ready for the mission, the kid is all set to either put on a great show or totally embarrass himself in the tower. Offering the TV and some drinks to the two of them, he books it straight toward the shiny entrance portal. Glowing super bright, the portal sucks the kid right in with a loud blue pop right in front of the agents. Confirming his awakening is totally real, Guangil asks his coworker what she thought of the weird newbie. Saying he looks like a giant scaredy cat, she bets hard that he will quit right on the 11th floor. Explaining that place is pure psychological terror, the absolutely disgusting and terrifying centipede tunnel. Having to kill 100 giant centipedes, she is absolutely positive he is going to go into total shock. Predicting he will just run back to the safe zone and beg to leave. Guang-il totally agrees with her. With that in mind, the team leader decides to call the agency's director directly to report back. While telling the boss the MC is a total dead end, our guy summons Corsac inside the tower. Arriving in a massive blast of energy, the assassin salutes, completely ready for duty. Checking the mission out, they need to wipe out 100 centipedes in just 3 hours to clear it. Getting goosebumps from the gross bugs, he hears the servant guarantee he will kill them all in 5 minutes. Interrupting him instantly, the kid warns him not to get an S++ and play it safe so no one suspects a thing. Catching onto his master's play, the whole plan is to look super mediocre and totally dodge the government's radar. Giving a mischievous little smile, the kid really thinks he is gonna fool the agents so easily. Starting the dirty work, Corsac already slices the very first centipede with his glowing blue blade. But he goes from 0 to 100 instantly, and the MC yells at him to go way slower. Keeping up the fight's pace, the MC realizes he just walked right into a massive trap. Finding himself totally surrounded by giant centipedes, he falls into absolute despair over the creepy crawlies. Screaming in pure terror and disgust, he sees an ocean of little legs brushing up against his whole body. Trying to run away from there, fear turns his legs to absolute jelly, and he freezes right on the spot. Seen from afar that his master is about to have a literal heart attack, Corsac acts immediately. Telling his master to leave it all to him, the assassin flies in his direction just like a lightning bolt. Getting absolutely furious at the bugs touching the MC, he begins the ultimate massacre. Clearing the area in a blinding flash, he unleashes a rain of blades, and not a single centipede is left standing. Seeing all that brutal carnage unfold, the MC screams desperately for his servant to just stop, complaining that he's going way too fast. The floor basically turns into a mountain of dead bugs. Telling him to hold his horses, Corsac reminds him that his master's safety bulldozes over any kind of order. Falling into sheer panic over the whole situation, he knows if the servant does not hit the brakes, his cover is blown. With the notification shining on the screen, he clears floor 11 with an S++ rank and bags the platinum. Mourning his master plan that just went straight down the drain, the kid hears his servant apologize in spirit. With no way to turn back time, the MC decides to step out of the tower and face the music out there. Commenting back in the apartment, Emiya says it has already been 5 minutes and he should be heading back now. With a system window popping up right in front of them, Wan-el yells for his coworker in total shock. Looking at the global announcement, Korea's 11th floor was just cleared with an S++ rank yet again, materializing in the living room at that exact same second. The kid leaves both agents with their jaws completely on the floor. Unable to process what he just saw, Guano hears Minna explain that the MC finally logged out. Arriving arriving at the exact millisecond of the announcement. The young guy stares at them both, dead serious. Letting out a really heavy sigh, the kid says he really did not want things to reach this point. With his eyes glowing a menacing red, he warns them that unfortunately he is gonna have to silence them both. Looming like an absolute monster behind his master, he threatens the agents and leaves the duo in pure panic. Shouting his servant's name, he gives the strict order to capture them both right then and there. Flying at them in a blinding flash, Corsac attacks with a speed that the human eye simply cannot even track. But all of that was just the MC's overactive imagination, as in reality he just screams in total terror. Having a desperate mental breakdown, he yells that he never ordered anyone to kill anybody at all. Picturing the agents with gift ribbons wrapped around their severed heads, all he can do is endlessly apologize. Seeing him shaking in real life, Yimiya asks if everything is okay, and Gwang-il calls out his name, collapsing on the floor sweating buckets. He excuses it by saying it is just his wild persecution complex acting up. Standing up super awkwardly, he apologizes once more, and Gwang-il completely doubles down on the big proposal. Trying his absolute last card of the night, he says the timing was purely a total coincidence. Seriously. Not buying the excuse for a single second, Gwang-il says the timing was way too perfect, but the kid stands his ground. Giving a fake little chuckle, the agent pulls out a thick folder and says they are moving straight to the contract now. Grabbing the paper, the MC almost has a full-blown stroke, seeing it is the super exclusive elite contract. Explaining that his case is totally different, Gwang-il says he is simply operating on a whole other level. Called the ultra elite contract, it was a special tier meant only for massive outliers inside the tower. Checking out the absurd perks, he would get 12 billion a year, huge mansions, and even a private escort. Even gaining total immunity in the process, he would basically be above every single law in the country, confirming it is absolute royalty tier. Today, only the #1 rank in Korea actually gets this kind of deal. Asking him to read it over carefully, the agent gets hit with a super dry no from the kid right on the spot, yelling that if it isn't the standard contract, he doesn't even want to be a real player anymore. Glitching out over him rejecting a literal fortune, he hears the young guy say he absolutely hates drawing attention. Being a total nightmare for him, the MC once fled a store just because someone said a simple good morning. Stopping his visits to a diner, he got recognized by the owner, and his weak heart just could not take it. Looking at each other, the reality finally hits them, and they realize he is the biggest introvert in human history. Shrinking into the corner of the wall, he explains he really does not want all that heavy burden on his shoulders. Realizing he won't win this by wearing him down, Gwang-il finally agrees to draft up the standard contract. Shaking hands to seal the sweet deal, the young guy knows that huge money always comes with huge responsibilities. Being in the elite, he could never stop climbing and would be forced to face absolutely every danger head on. Vastly preferring his own peace of mind, he just wants to live a slightly more comfortable, quiet life. Cutting the scene over to the management office in Seoul, the heavy tension is totally palpable in the air. Reading the report furiously, the director grills Gwang-il about the super shy guy with absolutely zero drive. Not understanding how a coward pulls S++ ranks, the agent thinks the MC is just a truly unique figure. Remembering the kid's smile, he concludes he is the rarest, average citizen he has ever seen in his entire life. Asking if there wasn't some kind of mistake, Yimiya guarantees the timing of the S++ rank was flawless. Slamming his fist hard on the desk, the big boss yells to bring the genius into the elite no matter what it takes. Agreeing with a super firm look, Gwang-il makes it his absolute life mission to somehow recruit the MC. Back at the kid's tiny pad, he keeps pretending to be mad and completely rejects the elite offer again. Standing by his side, endlessly apologizing again. The MC sighs and threatens to unsummon him on the spot. Right after that, our young guy steps onto the 12th floor to hunt down 20 fierce ice weasels. Summoning Corsac, he gives the royal order to take it slow, and the servant just screams pure loyalty. Smiling at his master plan, he figures he will finally look like a normal player and dodge the agency completely. Freezing solid right along with his plan, the kid shakes like a leaf, complaining about the absurdly biting cold. Thinking he dressed warm enough, he feels the tower's true temperature, and his servant notices he is super pale. Spiraling into total panic, the assassin promises to finish it all at the speed of light just to warm him up. Screaming at him to slow down, the MC watches his servant flip on turbo mode and completely tune him out. Yelling that a cold on his master would be totally incurable. He claims the MC's life is at serious risk. trying to flex his absolute obedience authority. He sees it is totally useless, and the servant is practically possessed, resulting in yet another S++ rank notification and one more shiny platinum badge for the growing collection. Getting the news back at the office, Guang-il almost drops the phone out of pure, unadulterated shock. Heading back to the safe zone, Corsac celebrates that his master is nice, warm, and totally safe once again. Exhaustedly saying he just wants to watch TV, he tries to send his servant right back to his own world. With his conscience popping up like a ghost, he gets chewed out for trying to give up on absolutely everything. Reaching the 13th floor, the new challenge is a long hallway completely packed with deadly traps. Not even letting his master touch the floor, the servant grabs him, saying it is way too dangerous down there. Taking off at blazing speed, he totally dodges a barrage of arrows with the MC tucked right under his arm. Spotting a giant bat on the 14th floor, Corsac completely wipes it out before it even tries a sonic attack, scoring yet another S++ rank. The MC sighs and totally accepts his fate, saying whatever happens, happens. Opening his banking app, he smiles from ear to ear, seeing the sweet 4 million won he just received right there. Crunching the numbers for the last few floors, he notices the cash is actually rolling in super heavy now, raking in over 7 million in just 2 weeks. He starts dreaming about making 30 million a month. Showing up the very next day, Corsac thanks him for the 5 stars, even after being way too rebellious. Giving up on fighting his servant, the master just tells him to clear everything in the most comfortable way possible. Figuring the agency is already super suspicious anyway, he decides to just fully focus on those 15 badges. Giving a wicked little smile, he admits that power is addictive and those sweet bonuses keep him super safe. Yelling for his servant to literally destroy everything, he salutes, absolutely ready for total war. Entering the 15th floor, the brand new mission is to slaughter 20 nasty worker goblins. Spawning inside a really dense forest, those disgusting little creeps show their ugly faces in no time. Watching everything from a hiding spot, he knows things get real now, with monsters that actually think. Remembering that one fleeing goblin brings the whole gang back, he is told not to leave his hiding spot. Smiling like a true killer, the servant guarantees he will handle it all in the absolute blink of an eye. Activating stealth mode instantly, he vanishes into thin air, and the MC only sees his faint energy trail. Seeing the goblins get sliced into pieces out of nowhere, the kid watches everything completely shocked by the scene. Dying without even knowing where the fatal strike came from, the servant's efficiency is absolute perfection. Achieving total success, he gains a level, sweet loot, an S++ rank, and unlocks the next floor of the tower. Materializing back in the apartment, master and servant appear in that classic blue aura all over again. Landing squarely on the bedroom floor, they just stand there catching their breath after the crazy fight. Quickly opening the inventory, the bright blue system screen lights up right in the middle of the dark room. Floating just like glorious trophies, there they are, the 15 shiny platinum badges he managed to collect. Seeing the system announce the brand new perk, the kid almost jumps out of his own skin with pure joy. Remembering he already got a summon slot and a skill, he wonders what awesome stuff is coming his way now. Confirming the pop-up, the sweet reward is an energy shield kit dropping right into his digital inventory. Looking at a gorgeous golden bracelet, the MC wonders exactly how that fancy new shield actually works. Equipping the accessory, he reads that the shield absorbs raw damage and scales up with his level. Activating a glowing blue dome, the MC realizes the item is not actually locked exclusively to the tower. Bursting into laughter at the huge discovery, he notes that he now has literal protection in real life too. Speculating about selling it, he could easily make 3 billion won and literally retire right now. But the loot edition speaks way louder, and the servant says he can't guarantee an S++ on 416. Getting a bit deflated by the answer, he wonders if the easy street has finally come to a dead end. Happily munching on his snack, Corsac completely misses his master's dramatic little existential crisis. Stuck in a cruel dilemma, he is torn between selling the bracelet or pushing his luck all over again. Grilling the agents back at the office, the director asks about the disappearing S++ record holder. Answering right away, Guang-il says it has been exactly 15 whole days of radio silence from the newbie. Pounding the desk in outrage, the boss refuses to accept completely wasting such a massive, once-in-a-generation talent. Staying super calm, Guang-il believes the delay is just pure caution because of the insane difficulty spike. With his phone ringing out of nowhere, the agent picks up and goes into total shock at the news from the MC. Connecting the dots instantly, the director's eyes light up as he asks if it is exactly what he is thinking. Deducing the MC farmed cash just to gear up. He remembers the kid practically started with absolutely nothing. Feeling like an absolute fool, the boss almost criticized the guy's totally brilliant strategic preparation, giving the absolute final order. He tells them to treat him like royalty and sell him top-tier items for pennies. Flashing back 15 days into the past, Corsac almost fell backward and totally stuttered at the crazy order. Lifting his shirt and pointing right at his own belly, the MC orders his servant to just stab him already. Spiraling over the insane command, the servant hears it is just a quick test for the shiny new energy shield. Covering his ears and screaming, Corsac absolutely and unconditionally refuses to ever hurt his beloved master. Losing his patience, the young guy takes matters into his own hands and drives the dagger into his own stomach. But he totally forgets to turn the shield on, and his servant freaks out, wanting to chop his own arm off in penance. Giving his master a massive lecture, the assassin tells him to never do that again and just go hunt some goblins. Letting out a fierce battle cry, Corsac vanishes into the forest, completely wiping the map at absurd speeds. With the hunt lasting less than 10 short minutes, the MC just stands there observing from super far away. Deciding not to just stand around, the kid resolves to take advantage of the downtime and train his own skills. Concentrating really hard, he fully activates the awesome ability he copied from Corsac, the Shadow Step. With his eyes glowing bright, a blue aura wraps around his body, and he feels a massive surge of pure energy. Shooting forward in an absolute flash, his body moves like a complete blur and leaves a cool glowing trail behind. Staring at his own hands in absolute awe, he finally understands the true, raw power of an awakened player. Catching on to why Corsac insisted so much, he can now either run away or attack with total absolute freedom, but right in the middle of his training, he stops cold, and his heart almost jumps out of his chest from a surprise. Spotting a goblin hiding right there, the ugly little thing lets out a squeak of fear upon being fully discovered. Jumping at him with everything it has, the MC goes into pure shock seeing the nasty monster up that close. Realizing the freak was totally hiding from Corsac, he just came face to face with the very last survivor. With its eyes glowing a fierce red, the goblin lets out an ear-piercing shriek and immediately attacks him. Raising his arm on pure survival instinct, the kid yells, "Shield," and the glowing barrier saves his life. Delivering a panic-induced punt to the goblin, he sends the creep flying and loudly complains about the grossness. Popping right out of thin air, Corsac intercepts the flying bug and completely finishes the job with one clean slice. Landing with a big smile, he asks if his master used to play soccer back in school and totally praises his kick. Shifting the mood in an instant, Corsac's look turns ice cold and insanely worried in a fraction of a second. Screaming his master's name, he flies straight toward him like the absolute end of the world is happening right there. Arriving while bulldozing through the forest, he desperately asks if Summoner Bong is still in one piece. Shaking the kid aggressively, he gets a solid scolding and the MC says he is painfully, perfectly fine. Reminding him to never risk it all again, the MC covers his ears and totally pretends to agree with everything, revealing the grand total of his 2 weeks. He completely mastered his skills and racked up 11 million won. Flashing right back to the present, Guang Il shows up all friendly, warmly thanking the young guy for his call. Asking to visit the store, the agent sends a fancy official car and the kid happily accepts the sweet VIP treatment. Seeing a ridiculously luxurious limo right at the agency's door, he realizes that crazy special treatment is all for him. Stepping out of the car, totally shrunk down, the MC dies of absolute embarrassment from all that loud flashy flexing. Welcoming him with a massive smile stretching from ear to ear, the agent gives him a super warm, official greeting. Seeing that the VIP treatment is totally real, the MC finally steps into the incredibly giant and luxurious building. Doing a quick check-in at the scanner, the system fully confirms his data and instantly grants him a total free pass. With the agent offering a guided tour of the place, the MC prefers to just look at everything all by himself in peace. Opening the automatic doors, the MC stops in his tracks, drooling over the epic gear. Walking into the store, he finds it super weird that there's no one around but the staff. Figuring the prices are insane, he decides to start turning those stones into cold hard cash. Appraising the loot at 11 million won, the clerk lets him know the deposit takes 3 days. Wishing the kid a good shopping spree, he notices the MC's social battery is sitting at 0%. Spilling the beans in the back room, Wang Il says he cleared out the store so the MC could relax. Slashing everything by 90%, the team leader tricks the kid into thinking it's a huge sale. Watching the sunset over the city, the MC heads home on cloud 9 with all the money he saved. Showing off his haul in the apartment, he presents the mace and boots that were in absolute steel. With a nagging feeling in the back of his mind, he remembers the items cost around 30 million. Realizing the VIP treatment is totally real, he sighs, knowing there's no such thing as a free lunch. Thinking about his purchases, he doesn't even need armor with that energy shield active. Remembering he wanted to stay humble, he admits with a little smirk that the system is super tempting. Summoning Korsak the next day, he announces that their next target is the 16th floor. Noticing the cooldown timer has reset, the kid's heart actually skips a beat. Deciding some backup couldn't hurt, he gets totally hyped to summon another servant. Starting a ritual straight out of a movie, he mixes prayers with chants and begs the gods for help. Exploding with purple light in the room, a massive silhouette starts taking shape in the portal. His face dropping instantly, he realizes the beast coming through is just way too big. Cracking the portal's energy, a steel-like chest covered in massive muscles and scars appears. Turning pale and breaking into a cold sweat, he wonders what the heck he brought home this time. Watching his soul practically leave his body, he cries over the deposit he blew on the summon. Stepping through the portal, a gigantic hand wrapped in a purple aura appears alongside a massive foot. Starting to crack under the creature's weight, the portal guarantees the whole room is getting trashed. Finishing the summon, the giant appears facing away and the MC lets out a terrified yelp. Turning around with glowing red eyes, he leaves the MC frozen in absolute terror. Not wanting to chat, Korsak immediately jumps at the big guy looking to take him out. Landing a flying kick with full power, the strike hits the giant dead in the center of his face. Continuing the combo and screaming for the guy to die, he asks the master for help to flatten him. Not even blinking at the attack, the barbarian says the kick didn't hurt at all and just tickled. Going totally berserk, Korsak says he's gonna rip his head off and tie a pretty ribbon around it. Leaping into the air with everything he's got, the servant gets ready to slice the big guy's neck, throwing himself in front of them with wide open arms. The MC screams for both to stop right now. Telling Korsak to chill out, he hears that the new guy is just a brainless meat shield. Ordering him to recite the rules, the giant gets all tangled up and completely chokes on the third one. Mocking the scene, Korsak says to kill him, so he gets banned for 100 days, shocking the MC. Opening the system screen, he sees he summoned a rare ranked meat shield barbarian. Deflating on the spot, he discovers that rank R is the absolute lowest and most disappointing of all. Trying to make small talk with the servant, the giant doesn't even know his own name or where he came from. With no other options left, he taps the screen to check the details and his eyes light up. Getting wrapped up in a strange energy, he gets sucked right into the barbarian's memories again. Waking up floating over a green field, he wonders where in the world he is right now. Seeing the giant smiling in the vision, he used to be a pure-hearted warrior who just wanted peace. Ruining that peace, two giant wolves surround the barbarian, totally ready to pounce. Grabbing both wolves by the neck, the big guy casually asks if they want to play for a bit. Showing up out of nowhere, a blonde knight named Arius comments on the giant's sheer size. Asking for his name, the giant answers sadly that he even forgot who he actually is. Revealing the scam in a narration, the barbarian fell for the smooth talk of a cowardly fake hero. Enduring the Hydra's poison and fire, he ripped the beast's heads off one by one. Dying after melting from acid, he didn't even feel his skin burning while protecting his so-called friends. Hearing the voices of those friends laughing, the MC feels all the pain and betrayal from the memory. Ending the vision with a melting skeleton, the kid finally understands the nickname Meat Shield. Snapping back to the apartment, he is completely horrified by the cruelty of the servant's backstory. Walking up to the seated brute, he welcomes him and invites him to join the tower. Deciding to give him a name, the MC asks if he prefers Barbarian or Meat Shield. Pressing for an answer, the giant thinks for a second and chooses to be called Meat Shield. Promising to make him happy, he asks if they have trust and the servant confirms it right away. Announcing that they are now a team, the MC leaves Korsak totally terrified by the idea. But after doing a quick mental calculation, the assassin's expression changes completely. Admitting that a meat shield is pretty useful, he decides to train him, getting the MC all fired up. Calling the giant over, Korsak gets annoyed seeing that he just keeps repeating the word prepare. Looking like a total disaster on paper, the crew has a shy gamer, an assassin, and a dumb shield. Announcing their arrival on the 16th floor, the system updates all of their stats. Unlocking his combat skills, the MC fills up with determination under a bright blue aura. Checking the quest, they need to wipe out 30 goblin scouts in 5 hours to make it out alive. Barking orders in the dark forest, Korsak tells the MC to pop his shield and prep his shadow step. Looking up, the kid grasps the danger when he spots the goblins hiding up in the trees. Suddenly, he notices a weird glow coming straight from above right toward him. Spotting a goblin at the top, he charges up energy in his staff for a surprise attack, appearing right in front at the very last last millisecond, Corsac blocks the hit and shocks the MC, yelling that it's an ambush. Dozens of goblins spawn from the trees and attack everyone. Telling the master to dodge the danger, he positions himself to tank the rain of projectiles. Seeing the explosions on the ground, the MC realizes he walked right into a massive monster trap. Charging forward without hesitating, Meat Shield jumps in front to protect his master. With his eyes glowing in sheer fury, the giant completely focuses on the enemy ahead. Clenching his fist with crazy strength, a blazing orange energy starts to overflow. Leaping with all his might, the giant slams a brutal punch into the ground, catching the goblins off guard. Sweeping the area with the explosion, he isolates the monsters and leaves Corsac's jaw on the floor. Emerging from the middle of the dust cloud, Meat Shield's silhouette actually startles the assassin. Continuing the massacre, dozens of goblins get completely vaporized all at once by the strike, blown away by the sheer pressure. Even Corsac goes flying through the air, cursing the big guy. Hiding behind a tree, the MC thinks it's absolute madness seeing that kind of ridiculous strength. Trying for another barrage of attacks, the survivors start firing away with their staffs again. Without even leaving a scratch, Meat Shield complains that the attacks just make him itchy. Swearing absolute obedience, the brute steamrolls and finishes off whatever is left of the monsters. Unable to believe or rank our strength, the MC guesses he's super rare level, just a bit goofy. Skipping the scene back to the apartment, the table is completely covered in boxes of fried chicken. Now that it's time to celebrate, they all get ready to stuff their faces with some good food. Eating alongside the trio, Corsac freaks out over the spice and gets shut down by Meat Shield. Saying out of nowhere that the MC is a good person, he completely catches the kid off guard. Explaining he would die for the master in exchange for chicken, the MC smiles at his loyalty. Killing the cute vibe, the brood randomly yells chicken and scares the living daylights out of the MC. Complaining about the jump scare during a tender moment, Corsac notices the giant wiping his mouth on his clothes. Advancing to the 17th floor, all of their stacks get another massive boost once again. Marking their entrance into the new setting, a pillar of blue light wraps around the hunting party. Feeling like the master of the universe himself, the MC flexes his muscles at level 17. Thinking with his adrenaline through the roof, he wonders if he should actually fight in the tower this time. Shutting him down right away, the two summons warn him not to get cocky and step up to protect him. Updating the system, the new objective is to wipe out 30 elite goblin warriors. Seeing a legion of armored goblins up ahead, the MC realizes that watching videos doesn't help at all. Staring down the army, he notices the 100 monsters out there are absolute pros at battle strategy. Scanning the field, he sees the save zone behind them, and goblins blocking the only way forward. Remembering the guide, he thinks the plan to lure the monsters out in trios is just way too slow for him. Ignoring the cautious strategy, he decides he has no time to waste and calls the big guy forward. Pointing at the army with a confident smirk, the MC gives the ultimate order to launch the attack. With showtime finally here, an absolute bloodbath was about to kick off right in the middle of the map. Telling the giant to obliterate everything, he already imagines the perks and goodies he's gonna score. Crashing down like a meteor, Meat Shield totally blindsides the goblins who have no clue what's happening. Wearing a helmet, one of the beasts lets out a roar and orders an immediate counterattack. Setting up a wall of spears, the goblins try to hold the line against the giant monster. Without even blinking at their defense, the brute faces the danger with his chest completely wide open. Charging forward like a steamroller, he runs right over the front line and sends goblins flying. Starting a total massacre, the giant's brute force wipes the monsters off the map in a split second. Watching it all with a smile, the MC is absolutely blown away by his summon's crazy performance. Figuring that strategy only works for similar levels, he watches a tank absolutely crush some bicycles. With the system chiming in, he scores an S++ rank on the 17th floor and another platinum badge. Glowing with victory, the kid can't help but celebrate the incredible achievement right there. Meanwhile in the back, Corsac is standing there in shock, seriously questioning the logic of that battle. With the next quest popping up on screen, he now has to defeat 30 assassin goblins. Stepping into the creepy forest on the 18th floor, the danger now comes straight from the shadows. Telling them to push forward, the MC sees Meat Shield blast off to the front like a literal rocket. Using stealth, these monsters start slithering through the pitch black like lightning-fast shadows. Vanishing into thin air, the enemies leave the brood frozen, not knowing which way to look. Looking completely clueless, he cranks his neck from side to side without seeing a single soul. Realizing instantly that things just got real, the MC feels the tension rising with the enemies gone. Punching the empty air, Meat Shield roars out loud, calling the cowardly assassins to come and fight. Echoing through the gloomy forest, an evil twisted laugh rings out in response to his shouting. Popping up looking super dramatic, Corsac says he's finally gonna show what having real class looks like. Bragging that the goblin's stealth is a total joke, he instantly vanishes using Shadow Step. shredding the enemies like a flash of lightning. The assassin makes the kill counter take up non-stop. Watching the scene totally impressed, the MC just mutters his servant's name with pure pride. Flashing an evil smile on the inside, he sees the assassin took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. Knowing Corsac was insanely jealous, he used his competitive streak to speed up the whole process. Looking down at his own hand, he focuses on leveling up while his servants do the heavy lifting. Gripping his mace tightly, he remembers he also hit level 18 in the tower, sparking an explosion of red and blue energy. It's finally time to show off his hidden power. Taking the shape of a wild horse, the raw energy completely wraps around him with crazy force. Trusting all the intel he studied up on, he gets ready for the big hunt on this specific floor. Knowing the goblin's stealth is pretty basic, he easily manages to track their incoming movements. Feeling absolutely confident, he trained his shadow step until he dropped back on the 15th floor. Moving super fast, he dodges an invisible goblin and leaves the monster completely lost in the dust. Glowing out of absolutely nowhere, the new boots on his feet catch the kid completely off guard, forcing him into a spinning kick. The gear comes to life and makes the MC scream out in total shock. Landing square on the goblin's head, the vicious strike sends the creature straight into outer space. Recovering with 10 kills under his belt, he strikes a super proud pose over the defeated enemy. Panting and celebrating his first real hunt, he pretends that spinning kick was all his pure talent. But emerging from the shadows, an even more sinister goblin assassin leaves the MC totally paralyzed. Continuing the massacre on his end, Corsac celebrates when he sees the kill counter hit 18. Jumping right to 25 kills, the number of takedowns climbs super fast on the system screen. Shouting in pure excitement, the assassin announces the job is almost done with only 3 left. Crossing his path, Meatshield's glowing fist completely catches the assassin by surprise. Smashing the ground with both fists, the big brute unleashes an absolutely massive shockwave, sending the last few assassins straight into the stratosphere. The heavy impact wraps up the quest. Hyping himself up to keep going, the shield turns into a ball and literally rolls right over Corsac. Realizing amidst all the chaos, the assassin notices the master is missing and starts to panic. Bursting into a bright flash of purple energy, the light suddenly illuminates the entire forest. Getting attacked by a sinister goblin, the MC is saved by a mana shield at the very last second. Wiping the sweat off his forehead in pure relief, he notices something weird is happening to him. Feeling a surreal calmness wash over his body, he finds himself surrounded by 2 deadly enemies. Flowing with a two-toned aura, he wonders if that's just the effect of pure, unadulterated adrenaline. Noticing the goblin's movements getting super sluggish, he literally sees time almost come to a halt. With his eyes glowing with power, the MC feels the whole world shift straight into slow motion. Taking advantage of the slow-mo, he moves like lightning and finishes the monster off with energy. Confirming the kill, the system hands him an S++ rating and another platinum badge to match. Meanwhile, Corsac is still totally freaking out, screaming the MC's name through the dark woods. Reappearing with a bouncy step, he celebrates managing to land the final blow of the entire mission. Seeing this bizarre scene, Corsac drops to his knees in pure despair while the shield just watches. Going into shock outside the tower, a clerk sees the 18th floor cleared with an S++ rank. Hyped up during a meeting, a bald guy slams his fist on the table and calls the player a phenomenon. Dying to reveal the truth, he gets shut down because it's too risky, but he stays incredibly proud. Concluding the MC is an absolute elite player, the team demands way more attention on him right now. With the news sweeping the country, a mystery player just rewrote history with an S++ rank, bringing the whole nation to a standstill. The phenomenon has everyone trying to guess who the genius is. Letting out a really deep sigh back in the bedroom, Corsac leaves the MC feeling pretty confused. Telling him to just spit it out, the servant replies that everything is moving way too fast. Confessing that the MC's speed in awakening his talent is honestly kind of terrifying. Pointing at his own chest in pure shock, he asks if the servant is actually being serious. Starting to laugh awkwardly, he says the assassin must be pulling his leg or messing with him. Keeping a dead serious look on his face, Corsac warns him there is absolutely no joke in this chap. Explaining that his shadow step was totally flawless, he says the situation is incredibly dangerous. Giving him a lecture, he reminds him that the promise was safety first, not taking crazy risks. Agreeing right away, the MC swears he'll never risk it again and will focus on one thing at a time. Shaking his head, Corsac's suspicious face totally gives away that he isn't buying that promise at all. Catching the master's little smirk, the assassin feels like the real trouble is just getting started. Sensing something bad, he goes back to crying, predicting his master is still gonna cause a total disaster. Keeping up with the drama show, he yells that the MC is definitely gonna attract a massive disaster. Sneaking up from behind, Meatshield pins the assassin down and tells him to stop being a crybaby. Breaking free in a rage, Corsac throws a heavy punch at the giant and threatens to boil him alive right there, turning into domestic chaos. The brawl wrecks the whole kitchen with the big brute crashing down. With a jar of sauce flying from the fridge, it hits the MC, who starts panicking over his lost food. Trying to use his authority, he screams at both of them to stop and return right this second. Seeing the damage is already done, the MC drops to his knees when he spots his mom's kimchi on the floor. Staring off into space, he decides he needs to head to his parents' house to cool off for a bit. Arriving the very next morning, he's already seen walking down the hallway of his family's building. Opening the apartment door, the MC proudly announces that the prodigal son has finally returned. Replying with surprise from inside, a familiar voice tells him to just get inside the house already. Seeing his dad in a hospital bed, his mom complains about him being away and how his brother missed him. Walking up super carefully, he asks how his dad's hip recovery is going so far. Grumbling that bones take forever to heal, he accepts a little help getting settled in his bed, calling them over for some stew. His mom lets him know his brother ran out to buy tofu down the street, taking over the whole table. The smell of the homemade stew was just begging to be devoured. Asking if money's tight, his mom promises to get a job while his dad tries to calm her down. Fishing for a reaction, the MC casually mentions it would be perfect if he awakened or something like that. Locking eyes with him, his dad asks if he's thinking about becoming a player, sending chills down the MC's spine. Busting out laughing, the old man says his son is a wimp just like him and calls his wife to kill a roach, giving them a total deadpan look. The mom thinks there's absolutely no reason for them to be proud of that. Asking if he shouldn't be at work right now, she watches him stutter while claiming it's his day off. Laughing, she says his face always gives away a lie, making the MC deny everything in absolute panic. Smiling super sweetly, she says she believes in her son, leaving the kid totally emotional over the moment. Getting straight to the point right after, she warns him to never ever get involved with loan sharks. Bringing back some really tense memories, the warning makes him change the subject to his mom's job. Explaining she got stuck with a garbage client, she says the guy even wanted her to take out his trash. Saying she didn't take his crap, she tore into the guy, and that attitude ended up costing her the job. Being super fierce and never accepting injustice, his dad's biggest victory in life was asking her out. Showing off a goofy little chart, the original weak man ended up spawning the weak men juniors. Smiling and saying they all worry, she suggests only talking about awakening when life gets a bit better. Cutting the scene, the family's building pops up under a blazing hot sun in the big city. Stopping the MC right outside, his little brother asks about the envelope, and he explains it's their allowance. Just as he's leaving, his brother calls him right back, leaving the older sibling super confused by the situation. Seeing the younger one look so awkward, he quickly assumes he's embarrassed about getting his college paid for. Putting a hand on the kid's shoulder, he tries to play the role of the understanding and supportive big brother. Changing his face instantly, the youngest drops the truth about getting his cut of the family's allowance. Thinking what a punk his brother is, he transfers 500,000 won and tells him not to waste it on junk. Staring up a little while later, the MC checks out the massive Awaken agency building standing tall. Reflecting on his way to the studio, the urge to protect his family made him want to level up even more. Getting told inside that the shop requires an appointment, he decides to try his luck anyway. Knowing the monsters on the upper floors hit harder and harder even with his barrier up. Deciding to buy a shield, the saleswoman offers him a golden one for a solid 100 million won. Almost having a heart attack over the price, the MC screams right in the middle of the store at that insane number, stuttering that it's way too expensive. He backs off complaining that the saleswoman isn't cutting him any slack. Showing off a round hand shield, the clerk says it's super light, highly durable, and pretty cheap. Testing the item and loving it, he thinks the shield and his mace were basically made for each other. Acting all shy, he wants to know the exact price of the little beauty he's holding in his hands. Hearing it cost 40 million, he agrees on the spot even though he's shaking while swiping his card. Taking a deep breath after the purchase, he feels relieved he actually invested in his own personal safety. Wrapped in an aura of pure defeat, he thinks dealing with a salesperson is way worse than fighting a goblin. Getting approached out of nowhere as he was leaving, some guy calls him over for a quick little chat. Leaning against the wall, the guy asks if he awakened recently, instantly putting the MC on high alert. Reaching out his hand, the stranger introduces himself as Choi Hosok and says he's a player too. Shaking his hand, the MC introduces himself and hears that Hosok clocks in there almost every single day, offering to help out with whatever he needs. The MC thinks the guy is genuinely a top-tier good dude. Saying everything is cool, his new acquaintance insists he's always around just in case he needs a hand. Watching the guy walk away, the MC is totally amazed by his charisma and even feels a tiny bit jealous. As the dark night rolls in, the moon lights up the tops of the massive buildings in the big city. Flashing his stats, he hit level 19 with Corsac, Meat Shield, and his trusty Shadow Step. Celebrating the new level, he knows he has one little errand to run before heading up another floor. Deciding to summon Corsac, he wants to plan their next moves while keeping an eye on his dinner. Confirming the successful summon, the system chimes in that John Corsac is officially on his way. Popping up with a jump scare, Corsac tries to keep his cool and thanks him for the mission results. Getting cut off by the MC, he shows off Finu's shield and says things just got incredibly serious. Sighing at the sheer exaggeration, Corsac hears he'll be super cautious and run at the first sign of danger, making him pinky promise. The servant really doesn't want him sprinting headfirst into the enemy lines. Agreeing to the promise, he listens to the tip to just sacrifice the servants and run away if he has to, stopping everything right before they start. The assassin picks up a super weird smell in the bedroom air. Flashing a huge smile, the MC reveals he bought some giant dumplings for him to snack on right there. Asking the master to go take care of the spoiled brat, Corsac is already throwing his jealousy around again. Grabbing a dumpling, looking super happy, his face shifts to dead serious in a fraction of a second. Asking if there's someone out there gunning for the master's head, the kid denies it all right away. Cutting the chatter, the servant warns him that someone out there is absolutely overflowing with bloodlust. Freezing on the spot, the MC tries to process if there's really an assassin lurking around outside. Telling him to go hide, the kid obeys in a flash, and a thick energy barrier pops up to protect him. Tearing through the door, a gunshot explodes against the barrier, which tanks the damage with zero issues. Collapsing onto the floor, terrified out of his mind, the MC watches the bullet roll across the bedroom. With the door creaking, an armed guy pushes it open slowly and drops a super cynical, creepy hello. Going into a total state of shock, the kid just can't process what is actually happening in his own living room. Recognizing the intruder from the store, the guy smiles like a total maniac and says it was tough tracking him. Bellowing that he didn't give him permission to speak, he orders the MC to open his inventory and hand it all over. Denying everything in pure panic, he thinks it's absurd the guy pulled out a hand cannon right in his apartment. Warning him while wrapped in a sinister aura, he says playing hard-headed is just a one-way ticket to a coffin. Pressing the gun right against the MC's face, he asks if the punk thinks this is some kind of joke. Mocking the kid's fear, Hosok thinks out loud that he totally hit the jackpot picking this specific target. Getting ready to teach him a lesson, he doesn't even notice the dark shadow sprouting right behind his back. Appearing out of nowhere, Corsac buries the hilt of his sword straight into Hosok's face with maximum force. Spitting blood in pure shock, the thug lets out a heavy curse word before passing out cold on the floor. Falling over stiff as a board, the intruder sees Corsac holding his dagger with a totally murderous look. Watching the scene completely paralyzed, the MC tries to figure out how the tables turn so insanely fast. Jumping up super excited, he praises the servant for knocking the guy out without needing a funeral. Confessing he was scared Corsac would slice the guy to pieces, the servant plays it cool and denies everything. Checking out the body on the floor, the kid concludes the guy is a shady criminal item broker. Remembering all the wild stories, he knows these specific criminals actively hunt players outside the tower. Flashing back to the agency, he remembers that the super elite contract is supposed to prevent these kinds of visits. Realizing that if he couldn't summon in the real world, he'd just be a lifeless body sprawled in his living room. Noticing just how broken his skill actually is, he watches Corsac tie the thug up with a pretty little bow. Offering to go throw the trash out, the servant hears that the MC would much rather just call the cops. Almost choking on his drink miles away, the big shot at the agency knows player Bong went out shopping. Asking what he ended up getting, he feels pretty disappointed to learn it was just a tiny little shield. Trying to guess the MC's exact class, they figure he must be some kind of frontline warrior. Deciding he's gonna make up an excuse, he wants to gift the kid a full set of armor right away. With his phone ringing right at that moment, he sees it's the player police, and the vibe gets crazy tense. Answering thinking it's just routine, Guang-il absolutely loses it when he hears what happened to the MC. Tearing through the city at top speed, a car screeches its tires through the back alleys in mere seconds. Flying up the stairs, Guang-il drops a heavy curse word out of sheer anxiety and overwhelming worry. Blaming himself for not locking down the contract, he prays to God that player Bong is still in one piece. Slapping cuffs on Hosok inside the apartment, the cops hear him screaming that the MC tried to murder him. Playing the victim, the thug claims he was kidnapped, and the cop tells him to save it for his statement. Panicking out of his mind, the MC already pictures himself wearing a striped uniform and eating prison food. Busting the door down while screaming at the top of his lungs, Guang-il tells everyone to stop right there. Recognizing the manager, Hosok flashes a smile, actually thinking backup just arrived to save his skin. Celebrating the arrival, the crook assumes the agency is there to bail him out of this massive mess. Walking in without saying a single word, Guang-il lands a cinematic punch right in the middle of Hosok's face. Feeling dizzy, the thug spits out a tooth, totally clueless why his savior just attacked him. Tearing into the intruder, a cop calls him a liar and says his player license is absolute toast. cracking his knuckles in pure rage. Gwang-il watches the clueless thugs squirm on the floor, telling them to take out the trash. He says the feds will get him, making the guy crap himself. Yelling that he's just a scumbag, the manager says they're gonna dig up all of his past crimes. Telling him to go find a lawyer, he mocks that no crazy person would ever try to defend him. Explaining the rules, a cop warns that if he flees to the tower, he'll spawn right back there. Turning to the MC with a terrified look, Gwang-il asks if he's okay, and the kid quickly nods. Staring dead at him, the manager calls his name with absolute seriousness. Player Bong, taking a deep bow, he offers a sincere apology and promises it will never ever happen again. Deciding he can't wait anymore, he knows he needs to shield the MC with a super elite contract. Asking how things turned out, Korsak hears that the cops completely handled the shady guy. Wanting to know where the jail is, the servant gets cut off and banned from hunting for trouble. Beeping out of nowhere, the system announces that Meat Shield was successfully summoned. Popping up totally amazed, the giant counts the stars, making the MC think he can actually read. Rallying the team, they step onto the 19th floor to slaughter 30 goblin shamans. Seeing that the floor is packed with curses, the only real danger are the nasty status spells. Not even caring about the danger, Meat Shield already charges in for a complete beatdown. Teaming up, the shamans cast a massive group hex and cover the giant in thick dark energy. Stumbling a little bit, the big brute feels the heavy curse weighing him down for a single second. Letting out a crazy roar, he blows the spell away instantly with an absolutely massive shockwave. With his jaw on the floor, the MC watches him break a tough curse just by yelling at it. Moving at the speed of light, Korsak shows up right behind his massive new team partner, telling the big guy to end the joke. The brute confirms that the violent message was received. Charging forward like a hurricane, the two servants go all out against the horde of monsters. Slicing up several shamans at once, Korsak uses a clean and super fast strike to lead the attack. Drawing his mace and shield, the MC gets hyped to finally break a real sweat in this big fight. Alerted by the system, he sees the mission is already over and gets completely lost in the dust. Looking at his two idle servants, he realizes they cleared the whole map in a matter of seconds. Asking if the master liked the show, the MC realizes they did it on purpose to protect him. Confirming the S++ rank, the system hands over another platinum badge for the stash. Stepping onto the 20th floor, they enter the talent screener, a literal hell on earth. Warning that the place is a total nightmare, Korsak says it has every kind of goblin imaginable. Telling the MC to just chill, Meat Shield promises to absolutely slaughter everyone up front. Getting the quest, they need to kill 100 mixed goblins and a hobgoblin in 10 hours. Smiling and ready to fight, Korsak sees the MC realize they were gonna leave him on the bench. Sending the giant as bait, the brute jumps into the horde screaming for them to bring it on. Spawning from the shadows, a massive flood of goblins with poison arrows appears out of nowhere. Charging with everything they've got, a huge wave of goblin warriors rushes at Meat Shield. Thinking angrily, the MC warns they are totally wrong if they think he's just gonna sit and watch. Looking back, Korsak finds his master's determined and super different attitude pretty weird. Whizzing right past Meat Shield, a bright blue trail of energy suddenly appears on the field. Using his skill, the MC says it's his turn to lead the charge, leaving the big giant completely stunned. Leaping right over the entire horde, he pulls off mid-air stunts to dodge the flying arrows. Landing on the other side, he proudly celebrates pulling off that absolutely insane acrobatic stunt. Going into total panic mode in the back, Korsak starts screaming the master's name non-stop. Reflecting on his life, the MC remembers he was always the quiet, super awkward loner kid. Thinking back to when he was little, a bigger kid straight up stole his toy truck to his face. Watching the bully walk away laughing, little Juhyuk just stood there, not knowing what to do. With the bullying getting worse in school, they even stuck a note on his back calling him a beggar. Staying isolated in high school, he became the ultimate joke for being stuck in bronze rank. Repeating the same old movie in high school, he ate alone and sealed his fate as a total outcast. Thinking he'd never imagine himself trading punches with monsters, he faces his own dark past. Having a total epiphany, he realizes monsters don't judge and are just pixels waiting to be killed. Deciding with pure bloodlust, the plan now is to crush everyone and pocket all that sweet cash. Keeping up the desperation show, Korsak keeps screaming for his master in the chaotic background. Seeing the goblin spearman charge to skewer him, the MC doesn't just stand there and acts fast. Using Shadow Step, he turns into a blur and slides right through the deadly spears with pure agility. Spotting a goblin trying a dirty trick, the MC proves he's way smarter than the ugly little monster. Snapping the beast's weapon right in half, he caves the monster's face in with a single clean hit. Keeping the rhythm going, he slices up goblins while slicing through enemy lines with his cool tech. Taking off right after, he buries his shield into a warrior's chest with absolute crazy force. Watching it all in total shock, Korsak can't believe the insane level of his master's Shadow's step. Noticing a huge cloud of poison darts, the servant screams a massive danger warning to the MC. Spinning fast, the kid ducks behind his brand new shield to tank the heavy hit of the sneaky attack. Blocking everything, he notes that without his energy barrier, he would be a literal strainer. With the panic hitting hard again, he wonders if he didn't just bite off way more than he could chew. Bawling his eyes out for backup, he sees Korsak actively clearing the path just to save his skin, telling the master to run straight to the cliff. The MC picks up the pace without looking back once. Standing tall like a brick wall, Meatshield is totally ready to turn into Swiss cheese for his boss. Continuing his desperate escape, the MC's lungs are already begging for sweet mercy to just stop. Finally seeing clearly, he spots the infamous cliff right ahead on his absolutely crazy escape route. Reaching the absolute edge of the place, he asks if that was really their brilliant master plan. Seeing that the road is a dead end, the kid goes into a total meltdown with nowhere left to run. Cornered with zero way out, he starts seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, thinking it's over. Landing right in front of him, Meatshield becomes the official solid bumper for all the attacks, stretching all the way out. The giant looks like a living mountain, making the goblins shake in fear. Clearing the area with a brutal sweep, the massive brute sends the tiny monster straight to the drain. Praising the crew's efficiency, Korsak dispatches 2 stealthy guys trying to backstab him. Spotting 2 shamans trying to close in, they really wanted to reinforce the goblin monster army. Moving like a literal lightning bolt, the assassin spins and preps the absolute killing blow. Charging with total focus, he tosses the shaman from way up high to end the chat once and for all. Finishing off the very last enemy, he strikes a victory pose among the bodies and waits for peace. Announcing the 100 goblins are toast, he says the final boss should spawn any second now. Commenting totally impressed, the MC says his 2 servants cleared the map in the blink of an eye. Trying to say thanks, he sees Meatshield way too close and tells the giant to give him some room, making the MC flinch all over again. A deafening noise blasts out of nowhere across the map. Spotting the hobgoblin, the ultimate evolution of the species, and the beefed up goblin Chad. Staring down the servants with a bright red aura, the monster is overflowing with absolute raw power. Barking orders from up high, Korsak tells Meatshield to push forward for the heavy direct clash. Letting out a heavy war cry, the giant makes it totally clear that this specific fight is all his. Stopping the hobgoblin's massive sword, Meatshield uses just his bare arm without even sweating. Totally short-circuiting, the monster sees his absolute best attack blocked with zero effort at all. Spotting the opening, Korsak yells that the giant did his part and tells him to just hold the beast. Dropping from the sky like a falcon, the assassin flashes his daggers to close out the contract. Confirming the absolute massacre, the system announces the 100 goblins and hobgoblin are dead. Leveling up, the MC proudly takes home a shiny mana stone and 5 highly exclusive magic potions. Chuckling like a total winner, he concludes the real strat is just letting them do all the beating. Taking a deep bow out of pure gratitude, he thanks both of them for totally saving his own skin. Announcing the S++ rank, the system drops the badge and starts teleporting them right out. Melting the internet, the 20th floor record has absolutely everyone wondering who the monster is. Checking his phone at home, the MC sighs knowing that huge record is gonna bring a ton of trouble. Far away, a big shot orders to leak the news to use the fame to track down the mystery record holder. Shifting focus, he asks about the Bong family investigation and gets handed a super thick envelope. Showing the report of the MC's dad recovering, the boss feels pretty bad about his much older age. Asking how to help out, the higher-up instantly approves the absolute best paid rehab center. Analyzing the little brother, the boss decides to hand out a full scholarship as a really nice perk. Finally pulling up a photo of the mom, Mrs. Jumja, the boss wants to know what her deal is. Explaining she was fired for arguing with a client, the subordinate totally shocks his big boss. Whispering, he warns that the mom is the real danger, running the entire house with an iron fist. Agreeing with the plan, the boss orders them to use all their massive influence to shield the Bongs. Hearing a knock at the door, the MC, with his fully trained nose, already smells pure happiness. Getting super hyped by the smell too, Meatshield gets scolded to stay completely quiet and still. Telling both of them to hide, he throws a blanket over them so absolutely nobody sees a single thing. Bringing 12 portions of everything, the delivery guy even drops some free fried dumplings. Complaining right after the guy leaves, the MC calls him super cheap for giving just one freebie. Adding to his total outrage, he digs through the bags and finds exactly 0 discount coupons. But getting real, he'd literally die of absolute embarrassment using the coupons in his drawer. Pulling the blanket off the servants, he unleashes the 2, who look completely hypnotized by the food. Seeing seeing the giant drooling over the meal, the MC asks if he's never eaten anything that good before. Starting to devour even the plastic bowls, the giant finds them crunchy, and the MC just lets him be. Opening his inventory, the MC watches his servants clear the whole table at a totally frantic pace. Getting a system alert, 20 platinum badges finally unlock a very special, hidden new benefit. Checking his items, he sees he hit the milestone and gets super curious about the cool new prize. Popping out is a mysterious golden box. The reward is a really flashy random loot box right there. Totally confused, the kid has no clue what that mysterious box in front of him is all about. Explaining it gives 3 items. The massive list of wild possibilities leaves the MC totally shocked. Getting lost with so much stuff, he decides not to stress about it and just counts on his pure luck. Skimming the list, he finds the basic items super trashy and the weapons aren't impressive at all. Spotting a level up rune, he figures skipping a floor is a scam since you completely miss the loot. Even seeing tickets to foreign towers, he absolutely knows the real treasure is something else entirely. With the ultimate prize being a summoning ticket, he already starts daydreaming about the crazy odds. Picturing himself being carried in a carriage, he'd just enjoy the breeze with a legend servant. Remembering there are 3 prizes, he flashes a smart smile, feeling Lady Luck right on his side. Staring at the box with pure drive, he orders it to open, even promising to become a literal saint. Starting to spin and glow intensely, the box preps the very first drop of the random loot draw. With his eyes glued and his heart in his throat, the MC anxiously waits for the big epic result. Dropping into his inventory, the first item is 10 kilos of mana stones for his ever-growing collection. Collapsing on the floor in pure frustration, he complains that's garbage since he gets it easily. But cheering up again, he calculates that if he sells it all, he still guarantees a cool 5 million. Getting his good mood back, he tells the box to hurry up and reveal the second prize on the list. Getting notified by the system, he instantly learns the Chaos Lightning Staff skill right on the spot. Reaching out for an all or nothing, he orders the box to hand over the final item from the random draw. Popping out a summon grade upgrade rune, the kid goes absolutely ecstatic over the insane drop. Knowing it right then and there, he realizes he just won the tower's ultimate lottery yet again. Writing the description, he confirms that the item is used to completely upgrade a servant's level. Wanting exactly that, he can turn one of them into a super rare or super special rare, but hesitates. Not knowing who to give the shiny rune to, he sees them both as equally reliable or equally idiots. Thinking about giving it to Corsac, he remembers all the heavy, delicious meals they've shared together. Quickly changing his mind, he remembers Meat Shield is the one who licks his plate clean the most. Reading that evolution depends on true potential, he decides to save the shiny rune for Corsac. Pushing the theory aside, the MC decides it's finally time to take his new skill for a little spin. Electrifying impact weapons. The skill has 3 forms and gets way stronger with heavy combat use. Thinking with total satisfaction, he sees that an offensive power-up was exactly what he needed. Unlocking the first form, Lightning Soul Chaser, he literally feels the raw power surge in his brain. Pulling out his mace out of pure curiosity, he gets right into position to test drive the new ability. Spinning the weapon with everything he's got, he yells the technique's name and unleashes a flash. Striking his final pose, he fully expects the bedroom to blow up with movie-level special effects. Concluding that if it worked in the real world, he probably would have demolished the whole building. Sneaking up quietly, Corsac asks why he's swinging at the empty air and hears the awesome big news. Explaining with a massive smile, he says he finally scored a totally legit and powerful attack skill. Being so completely stunned by the news, the assassin actually lets his food bowl slip right out. Seeing dinner just sitting there, Meat Shield, who isn't dumb at all, scoops up the bowl for himself. Screaming at the giant to give it back, Corsac hears that a real warrior never wastes anything. Having zero patience for the silly daycare, the MC simply unsummons them both right back into limbo. Waking up to the next day, a scorching sun and a perfectly blue sky paint the entire busy city. Sitting on the floor, the MC reflects that he perfectly understands all of Corsac's crazy drama, knowing that his summoner trait makes him totally reliant on his 2 summons for any kind of combat. Theoretically, a summoner doesn't really need to get his hands bloody, especially in a regular one. Thinking about Corsac's original master, he concludes that the guy must have been an absolute monster, and even being a total phenomenon, that master died and his world turned into literal cosmic dust. Understanding Corsac's heavy trauma, the MC refuses to just be a spectator on his own epic journey. Hyping himself up with cotton swabs in his nose, he also wants to beat the crap out of some monsters. Believing that a good pep talk will win the servants over, he decides to summon the duo once again. Confirming via the system, Meat Shield and John Corsac are officially back in the game. Catching Corsac's expression, the MC notices he easily aged 10 years just from pure worry alone. Warning that the new skill might be a trap, he says their previous crazy luck was just against goblins. Giving it to him straight, he warns that fighting against orcs is a whole different ballgame. Showing up with a rope, the giant makes the MC panic, totally thinking they're gonna tie him up. Saying it isn't quite like that, Korsak's eye completely flashes with a heavy authoritarian intent. With the assassin declaring it, he announces that from now on, rule number 3 is in full effect. Explaining the rules on a chalkboard, the last one says the master's life beats any direct orders. Trapping the MC in a massive bear hug, Meat Shield leaves him totally desperate and gasping for air. Giving the giant a scolding, Korsak tells him that bold move is only supposed to be used in the tower, with the plan being the giant playing babysitter. The MC realizes his servant just fully mutinied. Groaning with a sigh of pure defeat, the kid realizes he needs to resort to absolute desperation. Busting out his secret weapon, he gives puppy dog eyes, but Korsak remains completely unbothered. Swearing he won't do anything crazy, he says he just wants to hit one single enemy at a time. Swayed by the request, the assassin hears that his absolute safety is priority number 1 for him. Finally caving in, Korsak warns that if things get too heated, he's crashing the party right away, sealing the deal with a sharp salute. The servant reaffirms he is always right there to serve him. Announcing the 21st floor, they step into a dense forest packed with creepy dark shadows. Commenting that orcs are strong but dumb, the giant takes offense and swears he's a total genius. Suggesting a quick training session, he hears a fed-up Korsak say he can train 1,000 times. Offering Meat Shield up as a punching bag, the assassin leaves the kid feeling pretty awkward. Threatening to go fight alone if they don't stop, the MC makes the servant go into a total panic. Saying he's already memorized the theory, he prefers testing it on a real orc and pushes forward. With the 21st floor's quest popping up, they need to completely wipe out 30 whole orcs. Revealing the horde, massive brute orcs with glowing purple eyes step right up for the big brawl. Without even waiting, the servants charge the front lines, leaving a total trail of destruction. Turning into a blazing comet, Meat Shield blasts into the orcs and literally sends teeth flying. Keeping the beatdown going, the brute hands out punches and hammer strikes without a drop of pity. Becoming a literal whirlwind of steel, Korsak shreds multiple enemies at once with surgical cuts. Watching from the front row, the MC's jaw drops at the absolutely absurd speed of his servants. Realizing the fight is about to end, he sees he won't even get a single chance to say hello. Spotting Korsak crouching, an orc glares at him, and the assassin lets out a hiccup as a cue. Asking super hyped if that one is his to take, the MC immediately gets ready for the big strike. Launching himself forward, he focuses his chakra and preps his brand new skill for its big debut. Watching from a distance, Korsak sees the orc brace itself to tank the heavy impact of the attack. Whizzing right by, the trail of energy makes the beast scream in pure shock at the crazy speed. Landing smoothly, the MC instantly strings a spin to leave the enemy dizzy and totally clueless. Reflecting that the first form is pretty simple, he knows the orc has a nasty surprise coming. Raising his mace, the weapon gets swallowed up by golden lightning and heavy energy pressure. With the system window glowing, the MC feels that his damage is about to hit a whole new level. Screaming the technique's name, he unloads the mace with everything right on top of the orc's head. Sounding like a massive thunderclap, the beast's face caves in while the electricity fries it. Smiling because he's totally overpowered, the MC sees that the skill isn't just a flashy name. Celebrating the fight, he thinks the whole thing was an absolute piece of cake and super easy. With the joy fading fast, another orc pops out of nowhere with a huge axe ready to split him. Getting pumped for round 2, the MC already asks if the next guy wants a total beatdown too, squashing the orc like a roach. Meat Shield's massive foot completely leaves the MC hanging. Staring at him with the deal is a deal look, the servants remind him it was just a one and done. Clearing the 21st floor, the system sings out level up along with more stones and potions. Landing just a single hit on a desert orc, he's already out in the blazing desert the next day. Securing yet another S++ rank, he clears the 22nd floor with absolute ease, steamrolling over a cave orc. The routine turns into a walk in the park as he clears floor 23. Becoming history with a single strike, a volcanic orc wraps up the 24th floor. Gearing up with a little smirk, he already sets his sights on the iconic 25th floor. Getting up in his room, he thinks hunting one by one is slow, but he keeps his spirits high. Remembering he owes them, he decides it's finally time to hand out the runes to his partners. Summoning Korsak, the servant arrives in a strict soldier stance, but finds the call a bit odd. Casually offering the rune, the assassin innocently asks if it's some kind of weird snap. Touching the item, he completely short-circuits seeing the summon grade upgrade rune. Screaming in absolute shock, he can't believe it's actually actually real and that he's gonna level up. Asking looking super smug, the MC wants to know if his minion is happy with his shiny new gift. Stuttering with pure emotion, Corsac can barely believe he got such a pricey item from the master. Realizing the SSR rank is right around the corner, he gets deeply moved by the kid's gesture, promising to protect Summoner Bong with his life. He cries tears of joy and satisfies the MC, telling him to evolve right away. The kid hears that rushing ruins the perfection of the ritual. Realizing the process is way deeper, the MC decides not to rush his servant's big evolution, promising to come back in a brand new form. He's invited to chill out and hang around for a bit. Accepting the invite, he decides the absolute best way to relax is to just check out the TV. Trying to find a rerun, he hears the MC say to use VOD but thinks it's just way too expensive. Yelling out of absolutely nowhere, the MC tells the servant to quickly flip back the TV channels. Obeying instantly, Corsac stops on the news and the MC sees his mom at a protest in total shock. Freezing in place, he tries to figure out how his mom ended up right in the middle of the news. Showing Mrs. Hong, the segment features her holding up a sign against her unfair dismissal. Keeping it totally real in the interview, she warns she wasn't gonna bow down to their crap. Saying the client wanted her to be a trash can, she explained she was just there to fix the purifier. Making her blood boil, she got fired for refusing to apologize even when she was totally right. Racking up the interview, she says she's been there 10 days while the suits just laugh at her. Giving it to them straight, she warns that next time she's gonna run everyone over like a tractor. Walking up to her, a guy asks if she's Mrs. Gyumja, and she instantly readies her umbrella. Introducing himself as Lee Chong-sok, an elite lawyer, he says he really admires her struggle. Freezing for a second, our MC's mom hears that the guy is an absolute doctor of the law. With her blood boiling again, her face gets completely twisted in pure, unfiltered outrage. Screaming that she won't budge an inch, she startles the lawyer who asks her to just calm down, explaining the plan is the exact opposite. He wants to help her sue the company and shocks her. Reassuring he's from Park and Kim, he lets her know he's gonna do the whole job totally for free. Saying he heard about her case at the ministry, he swears the firm's intentions are totally pure. Suspicious of the handout, she senses the guy is solid and wonders if she should actually trust him. Hyping her up, the lawyer says destiny is at work, and she decides it's literally now or never. Accepting the partnership, Mrs. Hong watches the lawyer totally celebrate her super quick decision. Snapping his fingers in pure excitement, Mr. Lee says the first step is exposing it to the media, spawning a literal army of reporters. They swarm the MC's mom, leaving her dizzy from the flashes. Telling her not to hold back, the lawyer wants her to spill every single humiliation she suffered. Taking a super deep breath, Mrs. Han gets ready for the big show with a look of pure justice. Watching it all from his bedroom, the MC's heart aches, imagining his mom's terrible suffering. Feeling like a total zero, he blames himself for not giving her the support she actually deserves. Getting a reality check, he wonders how she scored a Park and Kim lawyer completely for free. Unsheathing his swords, Corsac asks if he should go have a little chat with those big bosses. Seeing his servant being a real bro, our MC finds it kinda cute he wants to solve it the old-fashioned way. Telling him to put the weapons away, he explains the legal stuff is handled and calms him down. Deciding to send some cash to his mom, he calculates his stones are worth 10 million won. With his phone ringing mid-math, he sees it's his old man on the line and answers the call, asking if he saw his mom on TV. His dad tells him to chill out about the absolute angel lawyer. Laughing, his dad says they could never afford him, and tells his son to just focus on his own grind. Mentioning the Dilsung hospital called, he leaves the MC super confused since that's for rich folks. Explaining he won a lottery draw, he says he's checking in to get fixed up and become good as new. Stressing that it's all covered by the project, the MC realizes a miracle hit the whole family. Reflecting that Ilsung is the best in the country, he realizes this coincidence smells like a setup. Calling right after, his brother Min-hyuk jokes if today is some family holiday with all the calls. Asking about their mom, he vents that his blood is completely boiling with all this crazy injustice. Saying he's gonna return his allowance, he hears the MC tell him he needed a brand new laptop anyway. Revealing he got a scholarship, he figures the entire universe just decided to conspire in their favor. Asking who the sponsor is, his brother drops the bomb that it's the awakened agency themselves. Connecting the dots instantly, the MC tells his brother to just study and stop asking any questions. Realizing it wasn't just blind luck, he sees the management agency literally move the world for him. Determined to sort it out, he calls the team leader and books a completely private dinner for them. Arriving shortly after, the two are already sitting face to face in a very traditional restaurant. Asking without beating around the bush, the MC wants to know why he did all of that for his family. Admitting it straight up, the guy says it was totally necessary and leaves the MC completely completely speechless, explaining that a player with issues at home underperforms. He leaves the MC feeling super indebted. Questioning the VIP treatment, he reminds him he signed a standard contract, not an elite one. Slapping the table hard, the leader makes the plates jump and almost makes the MC fall over in shock. Tossing a document on the table, the bold title reads, Super Elite Contract, Superior Class. Dropping the ultimatum with the smile of a clear winner, he tells them they need to sign it right now. Caught completely off guard and sweating bullets, the MC can only let out a super weak hun, pressuring him to become a super elite. The MC feels that this offer is honestly just way too good. Thinking the guy set a massive trap, he realizes there's literally no way for him to run from this deal. Feeling insecure, he looks at the paper and wonders if his talent is worth all that investment. Jumping up from the table with a burst of energy, the leader makes our MC almost leap out of his chair, staring the kid down. He asks if he really thinks he's average after breaking all those records. Left speechless, the MC breaks into a cold sweat, totally awkward under the guy's heavy pressure. Admitting it to himself, he realizes there's just no arguing against 24 cleared floors. Going all in, the leader bows and begs the MC to accept, bringing up that recent scary attack. Insisting he deserves the absolute best, the guy brings back the MC's trauma of having a gun to his face. Awkwardly asking the leader to sit down, the guy promises total safety, but the kid still resists. Laying his cards on the table, he says the mandatory recording clause is what's really holding him back. Sensing victory is close, the leader points out that protocols can be tweaked, which catches his interest. Explaining that he can live completely alone, the MC's resistance starts melting away at the offer. Delivering the checkmate, the leader offers 2 luxury homes, and the MC is already thinking of saying yes. Catching the sparkle in the kid's eye, he already knows he won the bet and seals the sweet deal. Pointing to the X on the contract, the MC, already picturing himself in the mansion, reaches out. Stopping his hand at the very last second, he nearly gives the leader a heart attack right at the finish line. Asking for just a little more time to think it over, the MC leaves the guy feeling pretty anxious. Explaining he wants some advice first, the leader calms down and agrees to wait for his final choice. Waking up the next day, the MC has his heart practically beating out of his chest from pure anxiety. Popping up in a purple explosion, Korsak introduces himself as a super special assassin and startles him. Confirming the system, his rank went up from SR to SSR, but the MC tells him to take it down a notch. Complimenting the new look, the MC says he called him for a serious chat before hitting the next floor. Agreeing, the servant says talking to the hollow brute would be a waste of time and listens up. Explaining his dilemma, he asks for Korsak's completely honest opinion on the elite contract offer. Raising his arm, the assassin gives his full support, saying he absolutely deserves to be treated like a king. Still a bit hesitant, the kid fears the heavy demands, but the servant guarantees they can handle it. Cutting him off right there, the MC says their safety is what actually matters most in the end. Dropping a truth bomb, the assassin reveals there are legendary summons and the MC could collect them all. Promising absolute obedience, he makes the MC imagine the dark silhouettes of super powerful monsters. Talking all hyped up, Korsak even mentions demigod-level beings, which are way beyond normal humans. Going into total shock, the MC can't even process what commanding a literal demigod would be like. Asking if he even has what it takes for that, Korsak says not today, but with some time, absolutely. Begging the master to stay safe, the servant says those random summons are his absolute trump card. Doing the math, the MC sees that 1 summon a month means 12 a year and gets worried about his luck. Showing the timer, the system alerts him that there are 19 days left until the next gacha pull. Giving him the golden tip, Korsak tells the MC to put an ironclad condition right into the contract. The advice being that the decision to climb floors has to be 100% his, zero pressure. Explaining that being forced to climb is just asking for a death wish, he pinches his nose looking pained. Picking up on the heavy vibe, the MC figures Korsak must be dealing with some pretty bitter memories. Racking it up, the servant tells him not to be a puppet, but that the government's backing is a solid perk. Chiming in right after, the system lets him know that Meat Shield is officially in the area. Showing up and taking a bow, the giant immediately hears Korsak picking on him for not making eye contact. Keeping it real, the big guy says a true warrior doesn't just greet anybody, which totally ticks the assassin off. Starting to brag, Korsak yells that he's now an SSR special, super, and rare. Rubbing it in the barbarian's face, he screams that the level difference between them is massive now. While Korsak demands to be looked at, the giant breaks into a cold sweat, terrified of his new power. Watching the banter, the MC decides the next evolution rune is definitely going straight to meat shield. Announcing the 25th floor, a super pumped Corsac asks why the MC is looking so tense. Opening the portal, the orc horde appears and the MC gets completely spooked by the sheer numbers, flashing a little smirk. The kid thinks that this time he's gonna catch a couple of them by surprise. Asking with a wicked smile, Corsac wants to know if the master wants to see the raw power of an SSR. Without even waiting for an answer, he tells Meat Shield to run up to the front and act as bait. Sprinting ahead, the barbarian roars that the show is starting and that he's the main target now. Taking a totally absurd leap, he clenches both fists in the air like a human jackhammer. Unloading all his fury into a single punch, he lets out a scream that makes the entire earth shake. Freezing up, the orcs can't figure out if the giant just missed his attack or completely lost his mind. Cracking the ground wide open, a colossal shockwave explodes and sends orcs flying everywhere. Announcing it with a villainous smirk, SSR Corsac has finally entered the battle chat. Turning into an electric blue blur, he cuts across the scene at a speed the naked eye just can't track. Standing completely still, the MC thinks the assassin's speed is basically fighter jet level now. Flying across the field, Corsac uses his daggers and a blue aura that slices through literally anything. Sweeping the area clean, he slices up the orcs like he's cutting through thin tissue paper. Activating Blade Explosion, he sets up detonators that turn the whole place into a deadly minefield. Noticing that even the hiding orcs got turned into barbecue, he views the skill like a literal bazooka. Reacting fast, a surviving orc launches a rain of projectiles straight at the assassin's chest, piercing right through Corsac's body. The weapons leave him standing there looking like Swiss cheese. Smiling from ear to ear, the monster thinks he finally took down their deadly executioner. With his smile fading, he catches the reflection of the real Corsac popping up right behind his back. Melting into water, the body that got hit was just a clone illusion. Any orc fell for it hard. Whispering a chilling guess again, the real Corsac appears by the ears of two doomed orcs. Unleashing despicable ambush, the scene turns into a tangled mess of light beams that shred them apart. Calmly wiping the blood off his blade, the assassin looks pretty satisfied with the absolute carnage. Shaking in fear, the surviving orcs stare at what's left of their crew in a state of pure shock. Turning pale, a blue orc, the sub-boss, realizes that death has a first and last name right there. Spawning right in front of him, Corsac flashes his poison dagger and asks why the long face. Warning that the fun is only on page 1, he says the massacre still has a long way to go. Seeing that the servants are gonna wipe out everything, the MC goes into urgent mode to join the fight. Cranking Shadow Walker to the max, he charges like a blue lightning bolt straight at the leftovers. Leaping with his weapon fully charged, he crashes like a meteor right on top of two distracted orcs. Remembering what Corsac said, he knows staying alive is a priority, but he's got other plans. Gripping his weapon handle tightly, he thinks he needs to level up and get completely buff right now. Wanting to reach a level where his loved ones can finally breathe easy, a golden aura explodes around him. Unleashing a clean strike, he runs over an orc who doesn't even see the metaphorical truck hitting him. With his mind completely set, he realizes he can't just piggyback on his servants forever. Sensing a monster sneaking up behind him, he gets ready, totally determined to grow through pure grit. Sliding right past the enemy's attack, he pulls off a master dodge and instantly preps some payback. Landing a heavy kick to the ribs, he sends the orc flying to the other side of the map, smashing stuff. Landing completely knocked out, the monster feels the heavy weight of our MC's boot right on top of him. With the games getting serious, a giant two-headed orc shows up, blowing out a heavy breath of pure hate. Activating the first form of his staff, he doesn't shake at all and stares the monster down. Using the lightning soul chaser, he fries the monster with a massive blast of bright purple energy. Freezing up, the beast gets roasted from the inside out before finally kissing the dirt. Seeing the rest of the horde rushing at once, the MC cracks a smile and gets totally ready for the chaos. Activating the walker again, he turns into a blue blur and basically dances through the enemy attacks. Panicking hard, the targeted orc watches the glowing staff heading straight for his face. Creating an energy chain, he swings through the air to build momentum and pull off a clean dodge. Aiming for the next neck at the peak of his jump, he hears the orc let out one final terrified scream. Prepping himself midair, he aims right at the biggest cluster of monsters for the ultimate heavy impact. Cracking the target, his lightning staff triggers a massive golden explosion that lights up the whole place. Feeling the weapon vibrate, his eye glows a deep, intense blue from all that stacked up power. Beeping on the screen, the system announces, second form unlocked, scattered lightning, celebrating with his blue aura glowing. The kid knows things are about to get wild with this new form. Figuring out how the technique works, he thinks about just how broken scattered lightning really is. Activating the second form without wasting a second, an aura of golden lightning wraps around his body, blasting energy in every direction. Multiple lightning bolts shoot out, throwing the monsters into total despair. Hitting a target and splitting apart, the pillar of light totally fries everyone standing nearby. Confirming it on the screen, the energy splits into 5 beams to wipe the map clean all at once. Thrilled with the new trick, he realizes he finally scored a solid area of effect damage skill. Showing up on the side, Corsac scratches his head, super confused, wondering about the sparking orcs. Zapping the assassin's tail end, one of the stray bolts makes him let out a massive yell from the shock. Landing with heavy drama, the servant strikes a soap opera pose and cries out for summon her bong. Marching straight toward the kid, he pulls up looking like he's about to drop a 2-hour lecture. Letting him have it, Corsac says the MC got carried away and forgot their deal, embarrassing him. Apologizing super awkwardly, the MC bows his head to his own subordinate right there in front of him. Freezing up a bit, he starts reflecting for a quick second about how weird this whole situation actually is. Thinking fast, he wonders why the heck he's apologizing to his very own summoned servant. With his blood boiling, he decides he shouldn't be walking on eggshells around Corsac since he's the boss. Grumbling that safety is everything, the assassin prays for the orc boss to show up so he can vent his rage. Deciding he's gonna beat the boss to an absolute pulp, he eagerly waits for the big monster to spawn. Totally lost in the conversation, the MC looks around, not getting the heavy tension between them at all. Spawning right behind his back, a colossal orc boss makes him turn white as a sheet from pure terror. Bringing down its massive axe to split him, the huge monster makes the MC scream for Corsac in desperation, throwing himself in front at the very last millisecond. Corsac blocks the axe and roars loyalty. Regretting it bitterly, the MC realizes he really should have just listened to his servant from the start. Facing the danger head on, Corsac points at the orc boss and tells the ugly guy to get lost right now. Letting out a deep grunt, the beast looks totally dumbfounded, unable to grasp the servant's sheer audacity. Barking an order, Corsac tells Meatshield to look after the master and that he'll handle the rest himself. Charging forward alongside the giant, the SSR assassin smirks and calls his big partner into combat. Splitting up, the two of them flank the orc boss for a perfectly coordinated and lightning-fast strike. Winding up his arm, Meatshield starts glowing with a super intense, bright golden light. Clenching his fist, the giant concentrates every single drop of mana just to throw that one massive punch. Unleashing a devastating straight punch, he aims right at the center of the monster's ugly mug with full force. Bugging his eyes out, the orc boss breaks a sweat, realizing that punch is absolutely no joke at all. Making everything shake, the heavy impact creates a golden shockwave that kicks up a ton of dust. Trapping the boss in a massive bear hug, the giant completely locks down the beast's movements. Shoving him with insane power, he leaves the huge monster totally off balance and completely vulnerable. Popping out of the shadows, Corsac uses the opening with a macabre smile and triggers his deadly skill. Slicing the boss from top to bottom, a wild festival of blue and purple cuts finally ends the big fight. Defeating the boss, the system throws a party with a level up, some mana stones, and a platinum badge. Chiming in with a special alert, he scored a nice bonus for collecting 25 platinum badges. Offering an encore benefit, the system leaves the kid staring at his hand completely confused, wondering what the heck this encore thing is. He gets super curious if there's gonna be a repeat action. When the options pop up, he freezes with pure excitement and already knows the absolute best pick. Smashing his finger on the screen, he locks in his choice without even blinking for a split second. Confirming his choice, the system announces Awakening trait upgraded, and a huge smile spreads on his face. Updating his stats, he can now summon 3 servants all at once and totally celebrates the massive buff. With the silhouette of a third-party member popping up, he gets super anxious for his next big summon. Looking at his 2 servants, he thinks it's finally time to celebrate the absolute success of the mission. Asking with a super proud smile, he wants to know exactly what special meal they want to eat today. Raising his hand looking super smug, Corsac asks for tteokbokki, those super spicy Korean rice cakes. Remembering the servant can't handle spice at all, he listens to the SSR brag that he can totally take it now. Seeing the table covered in steaming bowls, the MC congratulates the duo and gives the green light to feast. Watching Meatshield absolutely pigging out, Corsac asks if the dish isn't way too spicy for him. Staring at the spicy rice cakes with deep suspicion, the assassin gets a nervous sweat drop on his temple. Mustering his courage, he devours the rice cakes in record speed and literal fire shoots out of his mouth. Rolling around in absolute agony on the floor, Corsac hears the giant suggest trading him for another servant. Thinking it's time to just tell him the truth, the MC watches Corsac cry for a massive bucket of ice. Cutting the scene, his His parents' building shows up at dusk, with a really beautiful light painting the sky. Arriving with premium beef, the kid announces that the prodigal son brought a nice treat for the whole family. Freezing in pure shock, the family asks where the money magically came from, and his mom demands the receipt. Cutting the heavy tension, his dad says their son just wants to treat them right, and the mom finally gives in, dropping the comment at dinner that expensive stuff just hits different. His dad relaxes with the awesome meal. Clearing his throat, he asks for their attention, and drops the bomb that he awakened and is now a player. With dead silence filling the room, his family stares at him like he's out there communicating with Martians. Chuckling, his dad asks if his son went crazy from playing too many video games and tells him to just eat. Seeing that the honest talk didn't work at all, he calls up the team leader right in front of the whole family, pulling up in front of a super modern commercial building. His family just can't believe what they're seeing. Confirming it outside, the team leader tells them he's a true national asset, an absolute top-tier elite player. Pulling out his elite black card, the MC uses it like the ultimate master key that opens literally every door. Walking right into a super luxurious apartment, he proudly announces, "This is where we're gonna live now." Switching up the scene, the awakened management agency building appears looking absolutely huge and imposing. Signing the dotted line, Bong Joon-hyuk finally makes his brand new life as a pro hunter totally official. Still struggling to believe it, he looks at himself as a totally legit elite player of South Korea now. Reflecting on the wild irony, he remembers that not too long ago, he wanted to stay far away from this world. Apologizing profusely, an official offers him only 2 billion won as his starting base salary, insisting it was his own choice. Joo-hyuk notes that the official clearly thinks he's worth way more than that. Not wanting any spotlight, he doesn't want the world to know he's the S++ record holder of the tower. Absolutely terrified of seeing his family swarmed by crazy paparazzi, he turns down the extra cash. Asking if his family liked the new mansion, the official watches him super closely with attentive eyes, confirming it getting a bit emotional. Joo-hyuk says that place is way beyond anything he ever dreamed of. With a message buzzing in his pocket, he confirms his family's absolute total happiness with their new home. Offering a fully furnished apartment, the official asks if a 2-bedroom setup is enough for him alone. Looking at the pictures totally amazed, he thinks that place already looks like a crazy luxury penthouse to him. Cutting the scene to a literal penthouse, the absolute biggest and most expensive one in all of Korea. Swimming in an indoor pool, 2 beautiful women are enjoying some absolutely breathtaking luxury up there. Stepping out of the water, a massive tattooed muscular brute makes the women let out excited little squeals. Getting super close and intimate, one of them affectionately calls him Appa and flashes a totally flirty smile. Being Yoo Chol-min, the absolute #1 player, he invites the ladies to party hard at his massive place. Toasting with super expensive drinks, they celebrate with something that costs as much as an economy car. Trying to make conversation, they ask if he's heard about the guy who literally pulled off 25 S++ ranks. Snubbing him without even blinking, Yoo Chol-min calls him just some low-level rookie and takes a big sip, insisting that the achievement is completely unheard of. They watch him lose his patience right then and there. Ramping up his aggressive vibe, he pours his super expensive drink right over one of the women's heads. Intimidating her, he asks what exactly happens if he decides to stop climbing the 66th floor altogether. Explaining that Korea would literally get wiped off the map, he flexes his massive power and total importance. Smashing a bottle right on the table, he furiously doubles down on just how important he is to the whole country. Seeing the woman cry, he insults her, saying it's because of useless people like her that the tower would fall. Standing there in his fancy robe, he stares down at Seoul and admits his mood just went straight down the drain. Seeing the new record holder's name literally everywhere, he just can't stand hearing about it for another second. Hiding his face in his hands, he shows just how incredibly frustrated he is with the whole current situation. Remembering the multi-million offers, he thinks about China's insane 180 billion won offer. Swirling in his head, the pure power and heavy greed consume him while the MC keeps rising up in the shadows. Feeling like a total martyr, Yoo Chol-min is absolutely furious about risking his neck on the 66th floor. Flirting with the idea, his anger spikes, and he seriously considers just asking for citizenship in another country. Being a massive problem, that floor is the entrance to the undead zone, where creepy wraiths hang out. Needing 3 full days to recover, the psychological toll is absolutely brutal after every single attempt. Surviving by the skin of his teeth, he knows that right now, that floor is just an impossible brick wall. Muttering to himself, he says, "That's it. I'm gonna seriously look into becoming a foreigner and leaving." Tripping on his own ego, he He imagines the chaos in the headlines, the massive crisis and the widespread panic. Continuing at this turtle pace, the doomsday countdown for the total collapse of Korea officially begins. Putting himself on a high pedestal, he sneers and says, "The country only breathes because I'm standing right here," letting out an insane laugh. He predicts it'll be way too late by the time the ordinary people actually figure it out. Picturing the city in pure ruins, he totally hopes all the ungrateful losers crawl around in absolute despair. Meanwhile, over in Joo-hyuk's brand new apartment, he gets 10 huge orders of fried chicken delivered to celebrate. Living the sweet life of an elite player, he lives in a place designed exclusively for top-tier industry folks. Providing the full service package, the building staff takes care of literally everything so he doesn't lift a finger. Having everything right there in the building, he's got a restaurant, a gym, a pool, and even a karaoke room. Chilling in paradise, Joo-hyuk proudly announces he just completely cleared the 26th floor with 0 issues. With the troll mission being super annoying, his Shadow Walker skill completely handled it without breaking a sweat. Showing up all happy with the fried chicken, he calls his 2 servants, Meat Shield and Korsak, for a bite. Acting strangely catatonic, the 2 of them have their eyes completely glued to something playing on the TV. Shaking them both, Joo-hyuk tries to snap them out of it for the chicken, but they don't even blink once. Figuring out the reason, he sees the 2 are absolutely hypnotized by a K-pop girl group on the giant TV. Giving credit where it's due, Joo-hyuk thinks, who am I to judge? That combination is honestly pretty unbeatable. With his hunger speaking louder, Meat Shield finally attacks the fried chicken with absolute maximum effort. Setting up the schedule, they decide tomorrow's goal is pushing from the 27th to the 29th floor. Asking super confused, Korsak wants to know why the heck they're stopping right at the 29th floor. Explaining his strategy, Joo-hyuk is gonna grind those floors until the random summon feature finally opens up. Getting totally hyped, Korsak gets super excited about the awesome news of getting a brand new teammate soon. Celebrating, the giant watches Korsak guess who the next one will be, making Joo-hyuk feel pretty anxious about it. Showing up with a heavy package, a government official hands it directly to Bon Joo-hyuk right at his door. Being the volcanic orc leather armor, it's perfectly tailored to completely block out the freezing cold weather. Thanking him for the gift, Joo-hyuk hears the official double down. "It's literally our job to take good care of you." Promising to do the gear proud, he listens to the government official wish him good luck on the upcoming floor. Confirming the entry, the system notification pops up to announce they reached the 27th floor. With the place being a totally frozen mountain, the floor is notorious for its brutal sub-zero temperatures. Zipping up the heavy coat, Joo-hyuk feels the warmth of the gear that's absolutely vital for his own survival. Looking over at Meat Shield, he asks if the shirtless giant isn't freezing his butt off out there in the cold. With his teeth chattering, Korsak swears that his necrotic power is keeping his body heat completely stable. Thinking to himself, Joo-hyuk concludes, if this giant actually had a brain, he'd be the rarest being alive. Saying he's gonna warm up his body, Korsak warns that the heavy fighting is gonna start any second now. Launching himself right into the snow, he yells for the big hunt to kick off once and for all. Right there, slicing the freezing air, a sharp blast of energy clears the snowy trail straight ahead with absolute precision. Thinking Korsak just entered some kind of crazy ice frenzy, Joo-hyuk casually watches the whole scene from afar, feeling a bit lazy bundled up in his coat. The MC knows he really has to do his part in the big fight. Sprinting right behind the assassin, he and Meat Shield push forward together through the thick, heavy snow. Popping up on the screen, the system notification chimes in, mission complete and level up fully secured. With his eyes wide open, Joo-hyuk asks, "Already?" And Korsak smugly replies that he totally cleared the floor. With the rewards rolling in, he scores a holy sword and yet another shiny platinum badge for his collection. Dropping a sword with a super fancy name, Joo-hyuk gets totally hyped about his brand new holy weapon. With his hype going right down the drain, he grabs the 2-handed weapon and sees it's totally covered in rust. With the piece weighing an absolute ton, he asks himself, how is this piece of junk supposed to be any better? Tossing the rusty sword into his inventory, he figures the scrap metal has to be worth a few bucks at least. Checking the weapon stats, he sees it's only good for smashing undead and breaks super easily.